Star Wars, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Once again, the Republic is in turmoil. Watch as the chin-stroking Jedi are pulled into a war between a completely disposable droid army and a completely disposable clone army. Seriously, there's no reason to get emotionally involved in any of this crap. Experience an awkward, forced love story as soulless as the computer it was made in. With so many visual effects, the filmmakers didn't have any time left over for things like realistic choreography, realistic dialogue,
I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me.
or realistic Hayden Christensen acting.
I don't like sand.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rollin' 20s. We are the show that asks, if Zordon wanted to recruit teenagers with attitude, why didn't he recruit the 18th Street Crips? I am Jeremy.
Steve.
Jesse.
And V.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library, missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes and on Stitcher. You can follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. At the beginning of the show, you heard music by Machine Supremacy. You can find most of their music for free download at machinesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard at the beginning of the show was Honest Trailers. They did their take on Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Gee, not much to complain about there. How'd you guys enjoy the holiday?
It wasn't bad. I stayed
slept through
home
most
and
of it.
I played games.
Jesse, what about you? What did you do for the holiday?
I slept through it.
Apparently
I think
they
all
enjoyed sleep.
Yeah, I think all three of you had a better weekend than I did.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
We will fully get into that. Trust me. It's also a hot weekend down here. Fortunately, the humidity seems to have finally blown out, but that's just going to leave us with some 100-degree temperatures and a whole buttload of anxiety.
yeah. I read the Facebook post and heard the conover.
Well, there's more to it than that. I didn't get to speak much because we had some lag issues during the conover. It's just it's hard for me to relax because as soon as I get back, of course, there's work I need to catch up on, and as soon as I get caught up on it, it's about the time I have to pack my shit back up and take a train to San Diego.
Yep.
I got to talk to you guys a bit offline because they announced some panels that I need to be able to get into, so I need to, we talked about that line-sitting favor. I found out when to ask for it.
I'm just upset because I started reading the Dresden Files, liked it so much that I caught completely up, and so I'm going to have to actually ask you to borrow those Noble Dead books. Because I don't have anything else to read at the moment.
That may be, I don't know where you are in Noble Dead, and that may be a little difficult because I've been very meticulous about putting my stuff in storage. So unless you want to spend an extra day helping me dig, I have the latest one, but that's all I'm sure I have offhand.
Yeah, maybe I'll just download some more Kindle stuff.
Awesome series. If you haven't listened to the audiobooks, you could. They're awesome.
I just read them on my Kindle. I did not realize that they actually made a television program of it for a little bit.
But it's terrible.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I was just told about it last night.
Dresden's staff is a hockey stick, and Bob is a ghost. I think those are unforgivable transformations, in my opinion. I'm normally really tolerant when it comes to
well, the dude lives in Chicago,
adaptations,
not Canada, so I just don't understand the hockey stick and, Bob being a ghost. Well, he is kind of, but still at the same time. What's so hard about a skull with glowing eyes?
Right, I would think that would be actually easier to animate and render than a ghost would, but I don't know that much about filmmaking, so.
In case you missed it, you were listening to the Nerdy Literature Hour.
We could add that.
We're going to have a few things to talk about, including my experiences at the Anime Expo and the future of this show. Don't worry, there's no strikes coming or nothing, but we just need to have a conversation. In the meantime, we have our usual in the Kickstarter corner. The oldest thing we have actually has 6 days left on it, and that is the Prizeo for supporting the Wild Spirit Food Depot. This is in regards to saving the Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary. It doesn't say how many donations they have, but they have a stretch goal right now, $500,000. I think the original goal was $300,000. Currently sitting at $449,119.
Nice.
For those that remember, this is a project that's being assisted by the world's most evil Santa, George R.R. Martin, because he's offered special rewards specifically for this wolf sanctuary, just to help it get some money, including he actually added some new stuff already. At the Warg level, at $300, you get a signed Game of Thrones board game. I didn't know they had a board game.
Everything has a board game.
At the $1,000 level, you get a never-used dust jacket with Stephen Yule with art by Stephen Yule signed by George R.R. Martin. At the Let me see. Somebody already bought the one with the model of Jon Snow's sword. For $4,000, you get George's red signed suspenders.
That's awesome.
I don't quite understand that one. They still have one available at $20,000 to have brunch with George R.R. Martin, if I remember correctly. That's at San Diego Comic-Con. And let me see. The one for actually, there was another one for $20,000 that was taken to meet him at San Diego Comic-Con. And the one where you're written into the book and killed was already taken, too.
Of course it is.
We read the story where that was split among two people, and I got to give him credit. At least he believes enough in something to put in a lot of extra work, frankly.
Yeah.
He's talking about meeting people in person, adding them to the books, getting them all these exclusive models and stuff. It's not like he just signed a couple things and said, here, sell these.
Right.
So... And we actually have a couple stories about Mr. Martin a little later on. We also still have the Kickstarter for the Comic Library by Ethan McDonald of National City, California. He wants to put together a real-life brick-and-mortar comic book library in San Diego. It's a decent enough idea. It has 8 days to go and ends on July 21st. It has 4 backers. The goal is $175,000. It has $17.
Hasn't changed.
Not a bit.
Wow, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had enough time since it hasn't changed. I started looking through the backer rewards, and there really isn't much here to entice people who don't live in the San Diego area. All of them, from $100, actually from $10 all the way up to $10,000, have to do with basically getting a membership to the library.
Which
is really only good for people in Southern California if you want to drive that far to get some comics.
Right.
Well, actually, read some comics. It's not like you own any comics. It's just...
it's a nice idea, but it needs better promotions.
It's completely terrible. Well, it's not just promotions. It's just there's digital comics, and then there's the idea that for $20 you own some comics. Why would you pay $100 when you can get some decent graphic novels for like $15?
Yeah.
So it's all subjective, unfortunately. We have one here that closed. We have the Indiegogo for Laser Team by Rooster Teeth. They're trying to put together their first feature-length film from the people who helped make Ruby and Red vs. Blue. Well, this one actually ended on July 6th. They had 37,492 funders. The goal to get this started was $650,000. Well, too bad for them, because now they have to figure out what to do with $2,480,259.
Jeez. Wow.
It sounded like you guys got a little thrown by the way I presented that.
No, I'm pressured to get good advertisement.
I don't know. The Kickstarter with the guy that wants to make potato salad that wanted $10 and now he has like 60,000. That one just...
He doesn't have 60,000. He was actually on my list of $49,067.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, 373 backers to hang out with him in the kitchen while he makes potato salad. He better have a big fucking kitchen. I don't think he expected it to go this far.
He asked for $10. No, I don't think he expected it to go this far.
Yeah, he actually has 11 people that are backing him for $110, and for that they get a recipe book, a shirt, a hat, and a bite of the potato salad, a photo of the person making the potato salad, a thank you posted to the website, and he'll say your name out loud while making the potato salad. 4 people paid $110 to hear that.
I think some people must have been either drunk, confused, or just weird sense of humor.
It couldn't have been just drunk or confused, because this is 5,951 people who have given money to this $10 project.
Hey.
If the internet is amused, you will get money.
There. That.
So, let's see, what else do we have here? We have Ower's Game Corner presents Gen Con Video Bonanza 2014. Baca Forest Games of Fort Wayne, Indiana wants to put together a video at this year's Dragon Con. Just a convention video, nothing absolutely fancy. It has 7 days to go and ends on Sunday, July 20th. Has 38 backers. The goal to get this done was $400. Currently have $800.
So they're going to get it.
Yeah, they've hit half their stretch goals. There's still a couple more of new camera tripod, new editing software, and actually a new one here at $1,250. They might actually stay in a hotel.
Nice.
It's always fortunate when other people are paying for your convention experience. Okay, we have our Manic one here. We have Video Game Store That Can Beat Out Any Other by Michael Christian Gale of Oshawa, Canada. This is the individual who must have had an experience somewhere, because he wants to put together a video game store to beat out GameStop.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah. His goal is to open a new store every 5 years and bring down GameStop/EB Games.
Yeah.
This has 20. I know. This has 20 days to go and ends on Saturday, August 2nd. Let me see. It has 1 backer. The goal is $50,000. It currently has $410 Canadian. 1 backer.
I don't.
Can I look up who that? Let me see. Can I look up who that 1 backer is? Nope. I can only see who that is after it has 10 backers. $410, eh?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
I can't see it going anywhere. You're trusting a guy that has no business plan, no real concept of running a store other than his competition, and
a chip on the shoulder.
No, it's not in his shoulder. I'd say somebody firmly shoved that one in his rectum. There's nothing here to get behind. I want to bring down EB Games. Okay, most of that's been done already when they stopped. When most of the malls removed them. So I don't know where you're going with this.
Yeah, it's odd to say the least.
Yeah. Well, we also have the Virtual Reality and PC Gaming Cafe by Nick Lee of Boston, Massachusetts. He wants to put together a VR gaming lounge. He's probably going to be somewhere in Boston, Maine, because I can't imagine you want to do this outside of home. Well, his website is Good Game Boston, so there you go. He has 31 days to go. This ends on Wednesday, August 31st. It has 14 backers. The goal is $25,000. He currently has $285. I mean, he has plans to use things like the Omni and the Oculus Rift, which all sounds well and good, except that I don't think these projects come out commercially at least until next year. So there's still the matter of when you're going to open and what's going to be in it, because for right now, the only VR games really out there are those sit-down machines like frickin' BattleTech and stuff. So I wonder if there's a plan beyond that. This would require a greater explanation, obviously. This one kind of threw me because we have Erin, the world's smallest wireless earbuds. Erin of Malmö, Sweden, has put together what they call some simple wireless earbuds that come in a small charging device that you can plug in via USB. They have no wires whatsoever. This has 10 days to go. It ends on Wednesday, July 23rd. Has 7,347 backers. The goal to get this started is 179,000 pounds UK. Currently sits at 852,039 pounds UK.
Wow.
Yeah. It's an interesting project. I'm one of those people, though, that I need the wires simply because my ears are small. Earbuds fall out of them all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I have similar problems.
Yeah, but you have hair to hold them in.
Fair.
Unless I can teach my goatee to reach out and grab something, that's not going to work for me. But this is another one of those weird technical items that you would think would be kind of a unusual market, but they've found their voice. And it says in a picture, no sensors, no lights, no microphone, just music. Hey, to each their own. We have Arcade Comics. This one is being done by Cian Evans of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Somebody's trying to put together an independent comic book company via crowdfunding. It's supposed to be dedicated to getting great material and supporting lesser-known artists. Well, this one has 20 days to go and ends on Saturday, August 2nd. It has 15 backers. The goal is $5,000. Currently has $430. It's not a terrible idea. I guess it's just a matter of whether or not your voice would really carry any weight in the independent comic scene. It's already pretty crowded. So I wish them luck. It's just you're going to have to do something beyond we want to start a comic company.
Agreed.
Speaking of which, we have short comics by Charles Butler of Nashville, Tennessee. He's creating a single graphic novel of 4 self-contained stories regarding the good, the strange, and mythical in one comic book is his plan. His Kickstarter has 3 days to go. It ends on Wednesday, July 16th. Has 71 backers. The goal to get this started is $850. He has $979.
Nice.
So this is getting made. It may just be a better presentation to people since it's a definitive one-off. It's a simple start, simple stop.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Well, it's also helpful because when you pledge $5 or more, you already get a physical copy of the 28-page comic book shipped right to your door. At $15, you get the comic plus an art print, both signed. At $50, you get the comic book, the art print, and a work of original art in pen and ink just for you. Those are the only 3 backer levels, and they're all very simple.
Simple is good.
It's one of those... Yeah. He's getting what he wants for his project. And let me see. We already talked about potato salad accidentally. I have something different here. I have a Kickstarter for Robotech Academy by Harmony Gold Productions of Los Angeles, California. Steve, you familiar?
I heard about it being announced. I'm unsure what to think about it, considering Harmony Gold's record so far.
Well, you may have to think about this a lot more than you thought. This is supposed to be a new series that's supposed to pick up after the Sentinels. They've started a new Robotech Academy. It has 26 days to go and ends on Friday, August 8th. It has 1,781 backers. The goal is $500,000. Currently sits at $125,610.
It has a shot.
Yeah, it's accelerating quickly. There's new tiers here where you can actually get an animation cell at certain backer rewards. Let me see. At $35, you get that was an early buy-in. At $35, you get a copy of the DVD for the pilot, a digital copy of the pilot, your name in the program guide, electronic copies of the program guide, and shooting scripts for that early bird price. The standard price for that is $50. I'm a Robotech fan. There's no doubt about that in my mind. My only question, though, when it comes to this stuff, is that as I'm staring at it, it says pilot. Do I want to pay $50 for a pilot? $50, I want a series.
Well, yeah, if it's going to be something that you physically own.
I prefer physically owned. I don't like digital copies because there's that sense that what if my hard drive goes down and what if Comcast actually starts enforcing a data limit?
Yeah, I have a similar issue with physical copies, though. What if I damage it? What if I lose it?
Yeah, at least then it's on me. I always fear hardware failures because those are just so random and can happen at weird times. The last crowdfunder I have is it's a PayPal crowdfunder. Keiji Inafune apparently is requesting more money. Did you hear about this?
I did not.
No.
Via PayPal, he is requesting more money for his project of Mighty No. 9. It's a little unclear to me as to what precisely this is for, but if I remember correctly, he's actually opening it up as a way for people to buy into Mighty No. 9 prior to the game's release. For $23, you can get a digital copy of Mighty No. 9 that is either Steam or DRM free for the 3DS, Wii U, Vita, PS3, PS4, Xbox, or Xbox One. There's the 2, 3, and 4 Why do you need 4 copies of this game? What did I miss here?
Buying for your friends, I guess.
Are you that generous?
Yeah, if they give me the money to help pay for it.
Well, at $50, you get a digital copy of the game and a digital copy of the retro manual, the art books, the strategy guide, and the soundtrack. And at $80, you get all that plus the final Steam builds for Windows, Mac, or Linux. And this is... He's just going to be sitting on a mountain of cash and laughing at the rest of us. From there, we'll get into the usual news of the week, and video game news was surprisingly light. Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised considering there's EVO going on this weekend. And I think there's another... the Screw Attack Gaming Convention is going on. So there's probably going to be a spat of stuff coming out as of Monday. But the first piece of news I got is that Nintendo is going to host the first Smash Brothers 3DS tournament at Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
So starting at noon, there's going to be a preliminary round in which groups of 4 competitors battle it out and the winner advances. During the finals, players will duke it out one-on-one to determine the top smasher. Tournament slots are limited and fans will be able to sign up the day of the event at a first-come, first-served basis. This is happening at the Marriott Marquis Marina on July 25th.
Yep, don't even need a Comic-Con pass to get in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really? Huh. I'm not sure I would go to that. The interesting pieces of humanity that might be sitting around might bother me a little. Let alone it's always weird for me to sit there and watch people with 3DSs play. They always look like they're about to just murder the screen and then the person next to them. Have you ever noticed that when people with 3DSs get together, they don't just sit there. They all sit there and then they hunch over as if leaning in is going to get them further into the machine.
I haven't noticed that.
I've been to enough conventions to watch it. It's very freaky. And then there is abject silence. I don't know if they're communicating through the machine. I don't know if sitting around in a group like that suddenly induces telepathy, but they're not talking.
Oh, they're just extremely focused.
I hope that's the answer. If not, they started putting porn on 3DSs. I missed out. We also have a little bit of news that BioShock for the Vita, the PS Vita, may have been canceled.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, there's a series of tweets that came up by Ken Levine, who, if I remember correctly, he's one of the high muckety-mucks on BioShock. And he said that while 2K and Sony were optimistic in 2011, the deal did not go through during its times with 2K games and Irrational games. The game concept was very similar to previous work on the 2 Freedom Force games, which were tactical, turn-based RPGs. They're still interested in making the title, given the opportunity. So it sounds like there's just plain no BioShock for the Vita at all. Which I guess is more the woe for the Vita, because I'm still trying to figure out who's buying it.
Yeah, I've barely even heard of it. I mean, I've heard of it, but I haven't heard anything about it.
Now that I've said that out loud, it sounds very Jackass, and I admit that. But the thing is, I don't see them around. you would think that a machine that could hook right into your PS4 and a PS3 and share data with games that you can play on the go, come back, and just continue where you left off on the console, you would think that'd be a decent seller, but it appears people are just not buying into it in this country, at least. What do I know, right? The last bit of video game news I have is that Borderlands Studio has announced a new multiplayer shooter called Battleborn. It apparently doesn't stray too far from the likes of Borderlands, and players are going to find themselves in the shoes of an ensemble of characters battling over the last star in the galaxy.
Interesting.
I have a YouTube trailer. Do you want it?
Sure.
Sure.
I have not watched this myself, and I have not played Borderlands. Not out of lack of interest, I just plain haven't. You know, there are other games that end up on higher priority than that in my book.
Yeah, I've played it a little bit. I haven't decided what I think about the art yet.
You mean the scratchy, like almost comic book style nature of it, or?
Yeah,
I
I'm
appreciate
okay with that kind of style.
I appreciate the style from an artistic point, but as far as gameplay goes, it's a little disorienting. To me.
Okay. What the hell? Okay, Battleborn appears to be a shooter with a fantasy bend. I'm staring at an elf with a bow and arrow dodging... I don't know if that's magic fire or laser fire.
And arrows.
Oh, might be both.
Yeah, that's a cool bow.
Yeah,
the landscape's cool. This looks like a platformer.
Well, it's by the makers of Borderlands. It probably is a platformer.
Nah, they don't really do a lot of platforming in Borderlands.
Well, it said it's a new shooter, so... And I see the Clockwork Man there.
It's just the way that the video is set up, I'm sure.
The music is a little too Sting-like for me.
Yeah, it's not the kind of music.
Interesting the way it
folds.
Bow folds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Doesn't it have a very, like, Butch and Sundance feel to it?
I would play this, actually. At least to check it out.
If it kept this kind of music going, maybe it might be pretty good. But...
Oh, look, we have a sorceress. And it looks like the Heavy escaped from Team Fortress 2.
Oh my god, the ankles on that guy.
Oh my.
With the
this
feet.
Is amazing.
The feet. Oh, and
he got some wood from Wildstar.
So the synopsis of the game, from what I read, is they're battling over the last star in the galaxy.
That is apparent from this video.
That was a little freaky. Let's see. Does it say when there's a release date? No sign of oh, here we go. October 14th. So this is relatively close.
Damn.
Maybe there will be some more information about this at Comic-Con. People tend to announce the weirdest things out there. I like this. In the story on Screw Attack, it says, the game doesn't seem as mature as Borderlands, but you can see for yourself in Battleborn's reveal trailer here. Your definition of maturity and mine are a little different.
Unless they actually have, played the beta.
Well, that video had a very Blast of the Mohicans feel to it. This is our last
But
shot.
the art itself was kind of cartoony.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing now.
Yeah.
No. So, I'm sure you guys have seen by now that we are a month away from watching five versions. Yeah, 5 versions of Han Solo Rampage through the Galaxy. The Guardians of the Galaxy is released on August 1st. They started releasing new character posters. They're pretty straightforward. I would really expect to see them on bus stops like now. It probably means there's going to be a bunch of people breaking into the bus stops in my neighborhood and stealing them, frankly.
How much you want to bet that Rocket Raccoon is going to actually steal the show?
He already has. Sideshow has already announced they've made a statue maquette out of him. He has his own comic book. He's going to have an exclusive release figure at San Diego Comic-Con Who do you think the star of the goddamn movie is?
I've seen vinyl figures of him and plushies of him, too. Shit.
Why are those years ago? Also, the production tour of the Guardians of the Galaxy apparently reveals hints about Thanos, Cosmo, and final battle hints. So it does seem that in this press tour, or in this this production tour, there were 3D renders that were shown of characters like Cosmo, the Russian telepathic dog.
Nice.
They also had 3D renderings of the Nowhere Station, and a holographic image of Thanos, the Mad Titan, on the deck of the Dark Aster, which is Ronan the Accuser's ship. They also showed off some designs for the Nova Corps and the Necrocraft, the fleet that Ronan controls around the Dark Aster. This sounds like it's going to be more complicated than the trailers have implied.
They're, opening up doors for a lot more movies to do.
Well, arguably they have, because Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of like the glue to Marvel's cosmic universe. If you're out in space long enough, you deal with the Guardians, whether that's a positive or the negative.
I certainly like to see a Nova movie, one done right.
Do you mean Richard Rider or Sam Alexander? Well, that could arguably where it leads. It's just, I have a question as to whether or not the Nova are more than just space cops. Do they actually command gravitational forces? Because that's not very well implied by the trailers we've seen so far.
Wait, what? Space cops?
Yeah.
That's what the Nova Corps is.
They're kind of
the
like
Nova Corps
DC's,
is Marvel's version of the Green Lantern.
Yeah, Marvel version of the DC's Lantern Corps.
And they've released one last trailer. You guys want that?
Sure.
Well, this one actually is a callback because we have 80s music again. It seems like this latest trailer is going to be a good balance between... It shows a decent balance between comedy and action in this one. I want you guys to pay attention for something, though, because when the music gets to the chorus of Cherry Boy, they show an interesting group of words, and you almost think they're making fun of the people that came before them. I gotta admit, Dave Bautista looks intimidating as Drax the Destroyer.
He fits the part.
Well, yeah, he looks like he could choke you out with one hand.
If we're gonna save the galaxy, we're gonna have to do it together. Partners. Why would you want to save the galaxy? Because I'm one of the idiots who lives in it.
I know I will laugh myself stupid if Groot is the breakout star.
Yeah.
I think you might be.
Why would you risk your life for this?
I think you saw the Cherry Boy joke.
Giving us a chance. Something good, something bad, a bit of both.
I gotta hand it to Zoe Saldana. She is hot no matter what she's doing.
Yeah.
Right beside you. I will destroy you and your world.
They really enjoy that scene where the raccoon is collecting his junk.
Yeah, I was literally just laughing at that.
I have a plan. You've got a plan. I have part of a plan.
What percentage of a plan?
I don't know. 12%. 12%?
I didn't.
That's a fake laugh. It's real. Totally fake. That is the most real, authentic, hysterical laugh of my entire life because that is not a plan.
I have to rescind your statement about 5 Han Solos. I think it's 4 Han Solos and 1 Chewbacca.
Which one's Chewbacca?
I don't know.
Groot?
Groot.
Well, no, I mean, they're all intelligent.
Well,
It's just his language is incomprehensible.
He isn't intelligent. He's smartish.
Yeah, he repaired the damn ship.
They're carpet.
Just because they're carpets doesn't mean they don't have feelings.
I have had too much of a look behind the curtain. I've seen Peter Mayhew's face. I can't get past that.
Okay. Is it frightening?
You look like you'd be a wizard in the Harry Potter universe, frankly.
That's me, one tall wizard.
Yeah, well, CG does a lot of things. Think about that fat man that looked huge throughout the movies.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, Days of Futures Past, the movie that Bryan Singer directed, Fox put out, so far has become the highest-grossing movie of 2014.
Nobody's surprised.
Okay. It has $712.7 million to its credit. Captain America: The Winter Soldier only went up to $711.2 million during its run. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 pulls up third place, but CinemaBlend.com didn't put up. Oh, there it is, $703.7 million.
Well, it came back.
So, I don't think it came back necessarily. It just had some bad word of mouth that made it taper off a little early. Besides which, as we've learned, critics in this country don't seem to matter jack shit when it comes to income anymore, because movies are making more money outside the U.S. than they are within it. So it is interesting to note that the top 3 movies so far this year, all Marvel films.
So you got some big shoes to fill.
Now, 4 through 10 didn't even come close. The next one is Maleficent at $585.6 million, almost $100 million under. Then at $488.1 million is Godzilla, then Rio 2, The Lego Movie, Noah, 300 Rise of an Empire, and Edge of Tomorrow.
I didn't think that 300 Rise of Tomorrow was at all popular.
Neither did I. Well, again, maybe those were outside the country sales. It doesn't measure what the domestic and what the international, is per movie. But when you get into domestic grosses, actually there is one here that shows a list of just domestic grosses. Kind of flips things rather radically, because this shows specifically U.S. taste, obviously. Number 1 in this figure is Captain America: The Winter Soldier at $257.2 million. You want to guess what number 2 was?
No.
Okay. Number 2 was the Lego Movie at $256.8 million.
I should have guessed that. Damn it.
Yeah.
X-Men: Days of Futures Past came in third at $222.3 million.
Maleficent. Okay.
Yep. Maleficent, again, came in fourth at $201.8. And Steve, this is where the drop-off you were talking about for Spider-Man, because he came in fifth on this list at $200.1 million. After that is Godzilla, Divergent, Neighbors, 22 Jump Street, and Ride Along.
Wait, 22 Jump Street was remade?
22 Jump Street, the sequel to 21 Jump Street, landed number 9 on the domestic list at $139.8 million.
The one where they go back to, but they're college.
They're full of morons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Actually, did you watch 21 Jump Street? That was actually funny.
I hated that movie.
I couldn't stand it. I can't.
I was laughing a lot. I thought it was fun.
I typically don't wind up liking movies like that. It's the same reason why I can't stand Dumb and Dumber and some of those other shit, because it's just...
Well, the one that actually astonishes me here is Ride Along.
Yeah, well, that's another one that I didn't watch.
I heard Dumb and Dumber's getting a sequel.
I thought it already did.
Yeah, we know that.
Dumb and Dumber.
Well, they're not just getting a sequel. Carrie and Daniels are coming back for the movie. The original stars have re-signed. Bryan Singer is trying to explode the internet. He tweeted out a picture of the top page of the script for X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, seen some of that.
It's a relatively selected picture that shows just the director and writer and a couple paragraphs underneath, but probably not early enough to get a whole influence of what's going on. It says it offers a couple of clues like sprawling battle, and it takes place in Apocalypse's birthplace of Egypt. Also in mention is a duh item of the Four Horsemen. You know, it's another case where I think Fox kind of wrote itself into a corner where they had to do specific things based on what they showed prior. Because if they're going to do an Apocalypse movie and not have the Four Horsemen after that teaser, that's almost as bad as showing that Firebird at the end of X-Men 2 and then not showing a single glimpse of it in the next movie. Hey, I can still be mad about that.
No one was being mad at you for being mad at it.
Mark Ruffalo, he's starting to really talk about the idea of a Hulk solo film.
Well, it's coming up.
Well, there's the idea that they may plumb a particular story for a Hulk film, and this is it involves apparently what's going on at the end of Avengers: Age of Ultron, where the Hulk somehow is accidentally launched off planet.
We're getting fan Hulk stuff.
Maybe
that would be fun,
crazy.
Actually.
I'd watch
it says that. Apparently the last couple scenes involving Age of Ultron, Banner continues to play a key role in the movie, and the final war with Ultron spills onto the battlefield in the virtual realm. Unfortunately, that ends with him on board a Quinjet on his way off-planet with no immediate way to turn things around. He's going to have to ride out the trip. It's pre-programmed, and he cannot stop it. Does that sound familiar?
Yep.
Not to me.
There's kind of an infamous story in recent Marvel history about 4 years ago, I think, called Planet Hulk. The smartest characters in the Marvel universe, or at least they consider themselves, got together and decided that the Hulk was too dangerous and uncontrollable. So they tricked him into boarding a satellite with the premise of fixing it. And as soon as he was on board, it sealed itself, hit a thruster that nobody talked about, and launched the Hulk out of orbit.
Wow.
He was supposed to end up on a planet that was peaceful, serene, and that only had some simple wildlife on it. Unfortunately, the Hulk threw a bit of a tantrum while he was stuck on this thing, and it went off course.
He fell on the desert planet filled with gladiatory battles.
Not just gladiatorial battles, but a bunch of creatures as strong as the Hulk. Like an entire race of things as strong as he is.
And Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah. And the Silver Surfer.
I didn't realize he was part of that.
He was a gladiator in that show, or in that story. Yeah.
Yeah, needless to say, Hulk actually had to start thinking.
Yeah. So I don't think this, for the sake of simple cinematics, I don't think that the storyline will resolve in World War Hulk, but it may involve some similar beast to the Planet Hulk story anyway.
Suddenly we have little Hulklings running around.
I think Beast is of the mind. Do I fucking care? They're continuing to talk about Andy Serkis playing some sort of role in Age of Ultron still. It's apparently been revealed that he's working very closely with Mark Ruffalo, so it appears that the face may be Ruffalo's, but all the motions of the Hulk will be Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis is really changing the face of acting with his virtual motion captures.
Well, I mean, that was originally developed for Lord of the Rings. I don't know if it's technically his, but
you know what I'd love to see though is a bonus on the eventual Blu-ray release is if you replace the Hulk with Gollum in all scenes. I'm sure that I would laugh myself stupid.
Yeah, I think I would be right there with you.
Well, there is still a shake-up going on in Ant-Man. We all know that Edgar Wright, the former writer-director, left the project due to supposed creative control differences. And Marvel is reportedly looking for another rewrite to the Ant-Man script.
Uh-oh.
They still want to keep what Edgar Wright did as the basis, but they're looking for some rewrites to probably fit it in with the regular cinematic universe as is. The next draft of it is being done by Andrew Barber and Gabriel Ferrari, who wrote a recent project for Sony's adaptation of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
That show.
That's still around?
I'm trying to figure out where this is going. Not the show, movie. They made a movie. Or making a movie, I should say. I don't know what to say about it because they already had Adam McKay change the script some, and now they're adding more rewrites. They're obviously having trouble finding the voice for this movie.
Yeah, that's never a good sign.
They still plan on putting it out on 2015. So, it's a question. Last bit of Marvel media news I have is that ABC is going to have a Comic-Con panel where they're going to show some information and tidbits regarding the new season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're going to add some information on the Peggy Carter TV series as well as Resurrection.
What's Resurrection?
It's a show that premiered this season. They're people in one town that are being randomly resurrected.
Oh, yeah, that one.
People are returning from the dead in full health with no explanation so far.
Interesting.
Granted, some of these people have been missing for, decades.
Yeah. So, it's too bad you won't be there, V, because I signed us up for some kind of after Comic-Con party with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast.
I wish you could get Brett to sign something for me.
Well, make sure to get pictures.
Yeah, it's all going to be Jesse just going, ha 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 ha.
Okay.
Laughing at us. We also have DC media news. It's actually kind of prevalent. First off, there's a picture that was released from the set of Batman v Superman. Batman Victory Superman. Batman versus Superman. They really need to add the S in there. It's Henry Cavill dressed up apparently as Clark Kent for once.
Okay.
He's wearing a long trench coat, a tie. He's holding up some kind of shirt. It looked like to block some photographer, he noted. So he is actually going to use his alter ego in the film to some degree. It's also been announced that Warner Brothers, their television division, is really, really, really pushing their Comic-Con angle. There's going to be 2 complete viewings in one panel at 2 separate times during Comic-Con of the pilots of Constantine, The Flash, and iZombie. All back to back to back.
No Gotham?
Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry, I had that wrong. It's Flash, Constantine, and Arrow. Let me see. There will be cast appearances of the Gotham show. Oh, okay. I have that wrong. They've updated. It will be all 4 shows are going to premiere there. That's preview night only has 1 panel going on, and one of them is the first panel that has the screenings of the 4 shows. I wish I had more of an interest in that, frankly, because to me it's hit or miss. I can see it if I'm available. If not, I'm not going to cry about it.
I'd be interested to see the Gotham just only out of sheer curiosity.
Yeah.
I have a curiosity. I still don't know how I feel about that, though, because as much as I don't like Batman, the whole series, or at least to me, most of Gotham revolves around his activity.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we going to watch? Are we going to watch a 12-year-old Bruce Wayne learn karate or something?
The commercials I've seen, it's going to be revolving around Gordon.
I know he's the hero in the first season. I just wonder if it's going to evolve from there.
That's a good question.
But actually, there's a bit more DC media news in this regard. The Constantine TV show has banned one of Constantine's kind of character traits. Defining character traits, really.
Huh?
The Constantine on TV?
Yeah, I kind of figured that was it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It actually bothers me to a degree, because I always thought that smoking wasn't a sign of, his cool or something. It was kind of a symbol of his... No, I thought it was kind of a symbol of his self-destructive nature.
Well, there's plenty of self-destructive behaviors they can put in its place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was just a matter of one of those cases where the original story, he had cancer, he knew it was killing him, just didn't give a shit. Just kept smoking like a chimney the entire time.
Well, with all the backlash against smoking and so forth, doesn't surprise me.
I just don't think that they need to ban it. It's one of those things I see as a character flaw, not something I want to emulate.
Is this show adult oriented or?
Well, it's network oriented. It's going to appear on the
then
CW.
At least some kids will probably be watching it.
Yeah.
And I could see them not wanting to put it up for the sake of, you don't want kids emulating their hero.
Well, we'll get to that, because there's a story about smoking actually in Nerd Interest News. This is going to be interesting. You see, there's news about the Arrow TV series. Season 3 is going to get a new hero attached to it.
It's main actor's cousin?
Nope, not what I'm talking about. Devin Aoki is signed for Season 3. She was the Asian lady in the Fast and the Furious 2. She's also been in the Sin City movies. She's going to play Katana in Arrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I understand how that character fits in. She's another human hero in the DC universe. It's kind of an unusual thing to throw in there, in my opinion.
Maybe, like, on and off again appearance like Huntress.
It could be. Katana was always one of those mixed bags for me in DC, because as interesting as a character is, I would just like to see a better character name than just Sword.
Is DC, like, they're not have a good track for original names.
I know. The Crime Syndicate, the Reverse Flash, Eclipso, God damn it. Let me see. There's another character added to the cast of Arrow, except this one's being played by Superman. Brandon Ruth is signed on to play the role of Ray Palmer in the TV show.
Who's that?
Ray Palmer. Ray Palmer is the real name of a kind of a DC, I don't know about heavyweight character, but a notorious one called the Atom. He's a size changer. He's been known to have adventures in the microscopic universe, even.
Nice.
He doesn't grow big, just small.
Actually, he does have the potential to grow big.
Not that I recall. I know he's bigger compared to some people because he's down the microscopic universe shrinking and shite, but I've never seen him get bigger than human size. But let me see. In The Flash, this is the thing you were alluding to, Jesse, because the cousin of Steve Armel, Robbie Armel, he's actually playing a role in The Flash of another popular name in DC canon. He's going to be Ronnie Raymond.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Ronnie Raymond is one out of two individuals that merged together to create Firestorm in the DC universe.
Now it sounds familiar.
Now it sounds familiar now that I just explained the whole goddamn thing. So, according to report, he's playing the fiancé of the lady playing Caitlin Snow, who becomes Killer Frost. Firestorm and Killer Frost. Do you think that makes water? Sorry, that was painful. I admit that. Last bit of DC media news I have is that there is a hint of a special announcement at Comic-Con 2014. Let me see if I can find it. There was it was pointed out at comicbook.com that the announcement is going to have the following quote: attendees who stick around to the end will be privy to a special Warner's animated WAC announcement that will excite fans both young and old, unquote. Young was capitalized in that statement, so that's leading a lot of people to theorize that possibly the Young Justice cartoon series is being restarted. Or possibly even continued. The creators have been at like every comic book convention that I've heard of in the California area, talking about how they had another 3 seasons worth of stories planned out. One of which may have been played out in a video game that came out on multi-platforms a while ago, but they would very much like to take another stab at this series. And it was definitely good enough. I'm still unclear as to why they stopped it, other than the stupid reason for toy sales and shit.
That hurts.
I can always tell when you're annoyed at something because all you do is this light groaning sound that sounds like you're masturbating.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to be childish. And how do you know what he sounds like when he masturbates?
Because he's not a very private individual and needs to shut the goddamn door. You know what? There's not a no anywhere in there.
I thought I was the only one that did that.
There's a reason why I have a therapist, you know.
Sure it's not the 3 kids?
No, they're the reason why I smoke. We have general media news. Some of the weirder things that have occurred is that Transformers Age of Extinction opened extremely strong somehow.
Right.
It opened with a $100 million opening weekend in the U.S.
Did. Dinosaurs.
And robots.
What?
Foreign markets were even nicer. It opened in foreign markets at $201 million.
Even with China with the ban on it? Or boycott?
China didn't ban it. They had a complaint. which I believe had been resolved.
What was their complaint?
They didn't like the idea that these robots were specifically rampaging in Hong Kong. This was a bit.
Feels too much like Godzilla.
So after all, Pacific Rim even. Why you come here to destroy everything? Why you not go to Omaha or something?
I think you just proved why.
It's too flat. But not only that, there's actually a controversy coming out about the numbers that Paramount has said regarding the opening of Transformers. Critics are saying it's impossible for this movie to have actually gotten $100 million in its opening weekend.
So they fudged the numbers?
Presumably. There's some industry people that came out and said that its number of theaters versus the number of actual gross probably kept it at somewhere around 95 million, which is still respectable, but they, when you have 100 million opening weekend is when you're considered a hit these days.
Right.
So, it's kind of a... Paramount is sticking by the 100 million number, but a lot of people are still saying that it probably got somewhere between 95 and 98 million. It's one of those cases where it's kind of a big deal, but not a big deal, because in the end, it's not that big of a difference.
Mm-hmm. I'm still not rushing to go watch it.
No. I may still watch it for a laugh. I may do a double feature between that and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
I'm really curious about how they're going to render the dinosaurs. I have to be honest.
Well, there was another kind of sci-fi fantasy show that Fox was putting out, but they canceled it before it even aired. I didn't know this was coming out. Something called Hieroglyphs is supposed to be based in the Pharaoh Age of ancient Egypt.
I saw a screenshot of that. I didn't really look into it.
Well, it's kind of weird that a show is canceled as it's being made, and it wasn't just being made. You know how most of these shows never make it past pilot? Fox ordered a 13-episode season of the show, but they're not going to air it at all.
I wonder if it has anything to do with Stargate's reboot.
Usually things like this have to do with just a bad script. Usually, in most cases, when you read a bad script coming up about the TV show, you just rewrite and keep working. In this case, after 2 or 3 episodes being filmed, somebody at Fox just said, okay, fuck it, this sucks, we're leaving.
Why even order the 13 episodes if the script was that bad?
They probably thought the script was pretty strong. Then they saw it actually acted out and just said, oh, shit. But the show was created by Travis Beachman, who worked on Pacific Rim and Clash of the Titans. It was starring Max Brown, Reese Ritchie, Condola Rashad, and John Rhys Davies.
Wow. Well, at least one of those is great.
Yeah. Well, the story, according to the synopsis, is about a, quote, notorious thief who was plucked from prison to serve the pharaoh, forcing him to navigate palace intrigue, seductive concubines, criminal underbellies, and divine sorcerers as he races to stop the downfall of one of history's greatest civilizations. So it sounds like he's the first CIA agent.
Sounds pretty exciting.
Well, they decided no. So this show is not going to air. You may find it on the internet eventually, though, but not if there's only 3 episodes. Speaking of nerdy media shows, Community is getting a 6th season online.
That's what I heard.
It's going to premiere on Yahoo Screen, a Yahoo streaming service. They've gotten, it looks like, the entire cast back to act in it.
Of course they did. I'm sure
I'm sorry. Most of them. Word is that series creator Dan Harmon, Joel McHale, Gillian Jacobs, Danny Pudi, Allison Brie, Yvette Nicole Brown, Jim Rash, and Ken Jeong have all signed on for it.
Well, of course Chevy Chase wouldn't.
Probably. Well, he's getting up in years. He kind of deserves his quiet time.
Yeah, and there's apparently been a little bit of friction between him and the rest of them.
Well, actually, Chevy Chase apparently has been out since season 4.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I haven't really watched the show for a while.
I haven't watched a single episode.
That's all I know.
There's some really great episodes that everyone should watch.
I've heard there are some great ones. I just don't have the patience really to sit in it.
I don't even know what it's about.
It's what it sounds like. It's a bunch of people going to community college and hilarity.
Yeah, it's really weird, actually. It's not like a sitcom. Well, I mean, it sort of is, but it's not at all.
Well, how about this? Did you know that Frozen was not originally going to be a CG movie?
I did not.
I did.
Yeah, it was originally slated to be another one in their lineup of cell animated films But low sales on The Princess and the Frog at the box office inspired them to move the movie over to their CG division. They wanted to have a look closer to its more updated film, like Tangled.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frozen has become the highest grossing animated film of all time.
Wow.
There's actually a couple of cells of what it would have looked like with this older style animation, and it's interesting. I don't know if I would have watched it, though, I admit.
Yeah, I probably would have watched it regardless. But
are you a Disney Mark?
What?
Are you a Disney Mark?
What's that?
Somebody who will do whatever Disney... Someone who will go watch whatever Disney does.
Oh, I haven't watched Hunchback, Princess... The Frog Prince, or whatever.
Yeah, I would have accepted no.
There's several Disney movies I haven't seen only because of, money and time.
Okay. Does anyone know what American Gods is?
Yes, it's a book by Neil Gaiman.
What's it about?
It's about a bunch... I haven't gotten very far in the book, but it's basically about a bunch of gods. The first thing that... So the first part of it is this guy gets out of prison and meets... I can't remember. One of the Norse gods, I think.
Okay, so what? All these gods are just kind of hiding in Middle America or something?
Something like that. Some plot happens in America and it involves gods. I'm not quite certain, and I'm sure it's very good.
Okay, well, you're going to have to catch up on this pretty quickly, because Starz has agreed to develop an American Gods show. They're going to produce an original TV show for Starz, and they're hiring Brian Fuller of Pushing Daisies and Hannibal, and Michael Green of Heroes to be showrunners.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So it doesn't say when they're planning on doing this. Television adaptation was originally scheduled to be in November of 2013, but HBO suddenly passed on it. So it looks like Starz is saying, okay, we can do this. And Walking Dead fans are going to be pretty happy, because Chris Hardwick was talking to producer Scott Gimple about the show regarding a rumor about a fan-favorite villain, and he confirmed accidentally that John Hamm from Mad Men is going to play a villain in the series called Negan. Negan is kind of an interesting villain in the comic books, because Negan is what would have happened if the governor had managed to keep control of things. He's an absolute despot and an evil man who carries a barbed wire bat. He's actually responsible for killing Glenn in the comics.
Okay.
So this one is he's a peculiar guy. Although it's going to be kind of curious how he's portraying the TV show, because Negan really likes to use the word fuck a lot in his dialogue.
Maybe he'll start saying frack.
Bunch of fudgebackers. Well, Kevin Smith got a little bit of heartbreak. He'd been working for a while on the script of Clerks 3. The Weinstein Company, who holds the rights to the movie's distribution of the series, has passed on his script.
Oh, that's sad.
You want to know why they passed? Because the Weinstein Company felt that a $6 million budget was too high for the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
$6 million.
Wow.
Apparently, Clerks 2 cost $5 million to make and grossed $24 million in domestic release. I think Kevin Smith has earned the right to ask for $6 million to make a single movie.
I would agree.
Honestly, I'd say kickstart it, but he'd still have to get the rights.
Yeah, they still have to buy it away from Weinstein. And Star Wars Episode 7 adds more news about actors that are being added without any explanations of what the frick they're supposed to be doing. They've added 2 actors by the name of Crystal Clark and Pip Anderson.
Crystal Clark sounds familiar. I'll look that up.
I don't know either of them, actually. I really don't know either one. They haven't said any at all what either of these characters are doing, but they're both described as young and athletic, so some people are guessing they may be new Jedi in training.
Well,
I guess the word I should be using is Padawans before I get hate mail.
I don't know. Depends on if they revive that nomenclature, considering that if Luke's running the school, I don't even know if he knows what Padawans are.
That's true.
I think Padawan is something he did with an Ewok before he left Endor.
I don't know. There's several people it could be, but I know they threw out all the book canon, so whatever.
Yeah. Do you know who Toby Froud is?
Sounds familiar, but no.
Nope. Odds are you all have seen him and have no idea. Toby Froud was in Labyrinth.
Okay.
Not seen that.
He was the baby. Well, get this. He started he's made a new puppet film to return to the world of Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal.
They're interconnected somehow?
Yeah.
Yeah, it apparently is continuing this universe.
Yeah, those movies are interconnected.
And he made it with somebody who was connected to the... he made it with Heather Henson's help, the daughter of Jim Henson.
Okay.
I think it's going to be the lesson learned. It's part of a 3-puppet short produced by Heather Henson's company, Ibex Puppetry. So he's actually continuing the Labyrinth universe. That's both touching, but a little disturbing. It's kind of like he never left it.
Well, especially since he was a baby. I mean, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. If he got Jennifer Connelly back, I'd watch it.
I don't know what it is about that woman, but she ages incredibly well.
Yep.
Indeed.
This is only barely in our realm of news, but it does kind of fit here. You know how much I dislike the show Clarence on Cartoon Network?
No.
What show?
I've never heard of it.
Clarence.
That.
It's this badly animated show that's literally revolving around a character who's pretty stupid. I mean, like clueless stupid, not like her stupid.
I'm not aware of the show.
Okay, well, there's it's still being made, despite the fact that the creator and the person who plays Clarence on the show, the same person, has been arrested on sexual assault charges.
Okay.
And they're still producing.
Huh. They're still producing the show, but they fired the creator. Cartoon Network has released the creator. They kept the show.
They obviously own the rights to it, so...
Yeah. No. I don't need any part of this.
I think there's a little bias going on before that, but I really don't care. It sounds like a stupid show, so...
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of beyond stupid, really.
Most of the stuff on Cartoon Network is nowadays.
Granted. Well, we also have Jason Momoa, who's little... He had some choice words for George R.R. Martin. Jason Momoa was killed in the very first season of the show.
Yeah.
And some reporters recently stopped him because it's been said that he's apparently playing Aquaman in Batman v Superman. And they decided to ask him about his role as Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones. And he admitted to reading the books before, so he knew it was coming. But after his final scene was filmed, he apparently walked right up to George Martin and said, "Fuck yourself." Yeah, he was actually kidding. But after George killed him, quote, "I was really upset. I went to go get the book at Barnes & Noble, and I was bummed out I was dead. But it's brilliant writing. He's amazing, and he's a genius," unquote. And then he apparently turned to the camera and said, "George, are you watching? I'm around in case you get me."
I think he really wanted to be on the show more.
He probably did. But George actually has choice words for fans, too. It's a running gag on the internet that people are worried that George R.R. Martin, he's 65 and obese, and he may not live to write the end of his books. And so he had an interview with a Swiss newspaper called Tages and Zeger. He didn't mince words. Quote, "I find that question, pretty offensive, frankly, when people start speculating about my death and my health. So fuck you to those people," unquote.
That's fine. I don't read your books anyway. Fuck you back.
The show's still worthwhile, though. It's a very interesting watch.
Just don't care.
A little disturbing, just weird.
I kind of agree. I mean, what's the point of speculating that he's going to die before the books are done? I mean, there's lots of people that might die before the books are out. Death happens. It could happen to a young person.
Yeah, I don't know. I went through it with Robert Jordan writing the Wheel of Time series. So...
I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the Grim Reaper himself has like a writing credit on Game of Thrones. No, you have to get rid of that one. You have to get rid of that one. I'm going to have you in 3 years, you bastard.
I want to see him finish the books, but I'm sure that if he doesn't, someone will.
Oh, there's enough money in there. Somebody's got to.
Well,
frankly.
if he does the same thing that Jordan did, then it's highly likely. I just don't know how good he is at taking notes.
Probably very, since he had to collaborate with the D&D on Game of Thrones. But that's the acronym for the producers, whose names I can't remember now.
Well, there's further news, and it's a bit sad one. Harry Potter actor's been found dead.
Which one?
David Lyckenham. Wouldn't surprise me if you're not terribly familiar with him. He played lycanthrope Fenrir Greyback in the movies.
Okay. Oh, that guy.
He was 50 years old. And unfortunately, it's not one of those deaths where it's like a Hollywood death. You know, he wasn't found in his own vomit with a syringe nearby or anything.
I don't know. That actually sounds kind of positive.
Well, not exactly. He was found in Death Valley's Zabriskie Point.
Oh.
He apparently died of heat-related issues during a hike. He was a former mixed martial artist and had the ring name of the Enforcer when he was 42 years old.
Damn.
That's a tough man. But there's no signs of foul play whatsoever thus far. There's still obviously an autopsy pending, but it seems very unlikely anybody did anything to him. He had heat stroke, and he was by himself. He apparently had been missing for a few days and was found by a couple other hikers.
Walking around the hottest place in California.
Yeah.
Well, the hottest place that isn't Kim Kardashian's vagina, anyway.
Is that an insult? I'm confused.
Well, I was going to say, it's also the smelliest place on Earth, I'm sure. Considering how many people have been in and out of there, I'm sure it's a cave big enough to walk through. And the last bit of news is that it is the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters this year. They're going to re-release the movie in HD in theaters. 700 theaters nationwide. And for anybody going down to Comic-Con, there is a traveling art show for the Ghostbusters that is going to make the stop down there for the weekend. There's actually going to be a Ghostbusters themed party going on. They're calling Mass Hysteria.
Nice.
I actually am thinking about going by and checking that out just for the sake of. They say you'll know when you get to the building that the party's in because there will be an Ecto-1 parked out front.
Nice.
Okay. Oh, I get it. Okay.
The ambulance, yeah.
Hearse.
Let's see. Marvel comic book news. There's a few bits here. Deadpool is getting he's getting a new miniseries, although it's one that's probably going to cause a little bit of consternation in China, as things seem to often do these days. The new series is called Deadpool's Art of War. And it's not quite what you think it is, or maybe it is, because it is Deadpool versus Sun Tzu.
Okay.
One of the most infamous strategists of all time is going to take on the guy who has no strategy whatsoever. I don't know where this came about, but the writer of the series is Peter David.
Ooh.
That's almost one of those ideas you think you get when you're just sitting in the bathtub, just thinking, what's the weirdest thing I could come up with?
This.
I'll crank it to 11.
I mean, one of the first online responses I read to this was, I'm not sure how to react to this. But this series comes out in October. We also have the Sins of the Father coming pretty soon, which is the continuation of the story between Thanos and Thane. I don't know when exactly this is coming out, but apparently part of it is going to involve Ego, the living planet. He had an untold battle with this cosmic being, which is a living planet.
Okay.
I believe it's going to be a digital-only release.
Was that the one that was a Green Lantern?
Ego?
Yeah,
no, you're thinking of Mogo.
The one I'm thinking of.
Ego is part of a race of beings in the Marvel Universe that are literally living planets. Planets with faces.
Planets with faces.
Which means probably every time there's an earthquake, it's probably just him smiling, I would guess.
Wow.
It's freaky to look at. I don't quite know what to think of it. But, and further Marvel comic news, they're promoting the upcoming Death of Wolverine with kits.
What?
They're promoting the Death of Wolverine in comic books with kits.
Okay.
Participating shops will receive memorial cards, Scotty Young lithographs, and for those that need a little levity, there's an exclusive Deadpool variant cover.
Okay.
There's going to be a lithograph by Scotty Young with a kid version of Wolverine. Deadpool alternative cover in which Deadpool stands over the corpse of Wolverine, telling the reader, "Didn't do it."
Okay.
Now I'm the best there is at whatever Wolverine does.
I wonder if it's going to be like the Watcher, where he's just drawing on his face. They're going to further expand on the death of Wolverine by releasing a limited series afterwards, a 6-issue called Logan Legacy. And it's going to involve characters who, I guess the death of Wolverine would matter the most too, and most of them are people that don't like him. We're talking Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Mystique, Daken, and X-23.
X-23 doesn't like him.
He's a little hard on her.
Yeah, that's probably because they are each the same person.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I was just unclear.
Yeah, it's one of those weird preternatural things, because every time someone looks at X-23, they expect a Wolverine action, and she doesn't do that.
No, she was conditioned from the beginning to act differently.
Yeah, she's a more efficient killer, less of a talker and drinker, and just doesn't appreciate the man. How would you guys like the return of the Superior Spider-Man?
The one being controlled by Dr. Octavius?
Yeah, the one that is Dr. Octopus.
That'd be interesting.
Remember we read the story where they're going to have some kind of side story where he disappeared into the future for a while? Well, it's not just going to be a single story, apparently, because they've announced that Superior Spider-Man is coming back in Superior Spider-Man 32. New issue coming out this month, actually. So the stories of Spider-Rock are going to be continuing. Whether or not he learns anything in this period is kind of immaterial, because we know he died. I just don't understand where they're going with this. And do you remember that map I showed you a couple weeks ago of the origin of Marvel characters in the U.S.?
No, I wasn't here for that.
There's another one that was released. Okay, well, there's another one that was released that shows the origin of global Marvel characters. Want to see? It has some interesting marks on it of a couple of different people, including the Super Skrull. Is it really the Super Skrull, or is it... No, that's the Green Goblin, excuse me. It shows where Doctor Doom would come from in the U.S., Apocalypse, Pyro, Magneto, and Nightcrawler. Batroc the Leaper! Gee, the Submariner came from a dot in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Who would have thought?
Who's this guy from Australia?
Pyro.
Pyro.
Oh, yeah.
There's a large amount that come out of Britain.
Yeah, I was like, no way. Captain Britain comes from Britain? Who knew?
What a surprise.
I didn't know Spider-Woman did.
Huh, actually, yeah.
That actually adds another character of hotness to that one, actually.
She has a British accent.
Yeah.
What? Colossus came from Russia? No.
Black Widow?
So did the Black Widow? I don't know where these people are getting their information, but it's...
I can't believe they went through the trouble of showing where Wong came from.
It would have tripped everybody out if they put him in Africa or something. What the fuck?
Yo, man, my name's Wong. I'm from 38th Street in Harlem.
Apocalypse came from Egypt? No.
No, he's from Kansas. Came from a town called Smallville, actually. Let me see. We have DC Comics News.
I didn't realize Deadpool was Canadian.
Oh, yeah. Most of Weapon X is Canadian. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some weird new series coming out from DC Comics. One is called Gotham Academy. Remember, it mentions new characters by names, including Olive Sherlock, Maps, and Kyle. They're in a finishing school, and as you can imagine in Gotham, nothing is normal in that town.
Of course not.
But the more interesting part of this is the other series that's being launched is a new Arkham Asylum. It's a new comic series, and the premise is pretty simple. Something happens at Arkham Asylum, and the place is uninhabitable. So, they decide to create a new Arkham Asylum in Wayne Manor.
That's gonna go so well.
That's the premise of the series. I mean, I understand it's a big empty house, and there's probably a lot of rooms that can be used for different purposes. Is this really the one you want?
I don't know. Now you can definitely say that Bruce is an official member, dwells in Arkham Asylum now, as he should. Since he's the craziest motherfucker there.
Take much for somebody to have some kind of, it wouldn't take much for somebody to have some kind of accident, fall through a clock, and then, hey, where am I?
Plays the piano and what?
Not to mention, there's the other side of this, is that as soon as somebody breaks off a bar, is about to slip through a window, suddenly Batman punches him right back into the room. How'd you know?
Hey guys, I found this big red phone. Wonder where it goes to.
It'd be even more disturbing if one of them trips over Shakespeare's head and flips it back. Hey, red switch. But the news isn't all funny for Batman. Batman actually took the top-selling comic book in June. He sold number 1 in June with Batman number 32. Actually, it's kind of interesting because reading through the top 10, DC has 5 of them, Marvel has 4 of them, Image had 1 with The Walking Dead coming in at 9th, but Marvel still somehow is owning the monthly share at 33%. Nearly 34%, and DC comes in below them at 29.88%. So it appears DC had more top 10 comics, but I guess Marvel had more top 100. It's weird how that worked out, doesn't it? So, there's something about the new 52 is working for him. Although, not to any surprise, the 5 DC comics that made the top 10, Batman 32, Harley Quinn 7, Superman 32, Justice League 31, and Detective Comics 32. This sounds very reminiscent of a theme that we've been playing on this show for quite a while. If it doesn't have a bat or an S on it in DC, nobody seems to care.
Well, I mean, we've all discussed the faults of DC.
Yeah. Well, DC is trying to transform another one of his characters because they announced that the husband and wife team of Meredith and David Finch are taking over Wonder Woman in issue 36.
Cool.
They'll be the first new creative team on the series since Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang launched it with the New 52 a few years ago. They're going to try and shift the focus away from Diana Prince's relationships with her godly Pantheon family and move more to the relationships she has with the Amazons and the Justice League. I don't quite know if that's really a new story. I always thought one of the difficulties in reading Wonder Woman is that the character seems to relate to all of the unusual facets of her life pretty well. It's the more normal ones she never seems to really latch onto. Mm-hmm. But I think we discussed that in a prior story where somebody said that, when it comes to the concept of the superhero, DC really embraces the super side of the acronym, where Marvel embraces the hero side of the acronym. That's why it's always been hard for me to get into DC, because to be a superhero, you almost have to disconnect yourself from humanity in their universe.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why a lot of us are not huge DC fans, because they're not as grounded as characters from Marvel.
Well, Superman was during that time. He apparently tried to walk across America and dunk basketballs over kids' heads.
But he still wore the damn tights.
I know.
Just so silly.
Well, DC has also announced some new series that they're putting out, and it seems like they're taking a cue from the sales from Villains Month. They're putting out a new Catwoman series that's going to lead to that. Remember that preview we talked about, where she's apparently heading up Gotham's crime families? But they're also adding a solo series of Clarion, which is going alongside the other villain series already out, Sinestro, Lobo, and Deathstroke. Clarion is always one of those villains I've had trouble understanding. He's from that demonic magic side of DC that just seems too damn complicated for me.
Yeah, that just seems complicated in regards to which company you go with.
True, but I have an easier time following like the Scarlet Witch and Magic from the X-Men than I do, Clarion and frickin', what Justice League Dark.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine Doctor Strange was pretty hard to follow as well.
He became easier. He wasn't quite as preachy. Not great, but better. And he actually was a standout, I understand, in the Avengers annual. But further in comic book news, the Arrow and Flash TV series are getting comic book tie-ins.
Cool.
Okay.
They're getting a digital comic book companion series. They start in September. Debuts are set for Monday, September 1st and Monday, September 8th, respectively. They're supposed to be very closely tied to their TV shows.
I like that.
Maybe they could tell some behind-the-scenes stuff that we don't get to see on the show.
They wouldn't tell you behind-the-scenes stuff. These are supposed to continue the stories of the series. The only things they might tell you are side stories that you don't see on the TV show, which some people refer to as filler.
I like filler.
Some filler can be good. Some.
V, I've heard you moan. I know you like filler.
Boo.
But, oh, come on. That was decent. Everybody's a stupid critic. The last bit I have here is that Batgirl is apparently changing focus. They're looking for a lighter story. It's no secret that since the New 52 started, it seems like the DC comic books are in a battle to see who can be the darkest, grittiest, most violent comic in their lineup. Well, Barbara Gordon is apparently splitting away from the Bat family. She's going to technical college?
Huh?
No, she's going to grad school. Barbara Gordon is going to grad school. And as with most things in DC's universe, nothing can go normally for any hero. So she picks up her cape and she starts investigating. The thing is, though, they've redesigned her costume.
I've seen that.
And they've actually redesigned it to something that's probably going to be found in cosplay and conventions very quickly because it's extremely simple. I sent you guys the link.
It's very practical.
Well, it's a leather jacket with a snap-on cape. It's not exactly a utility belt, just kind of, although it is a harness of different pouches and stuff for stuff she can use. It's also not. It's not as form-fitting as most costumes in DC either.
It's not spandex.
Yeah, that looks like something someone could wear and, kick ass in.
I'm kind of mixed on the helmet.
Yeah.
I understand it's still a Bat character, but the way that thing just sits on her head, it's weird to me. It would make more sense if there was something connecting it to her neck.
Something.
But that's the way I think.
Yeah, it would be easily pulled off, but
or knocked off.
Or hell, fall off. She's been hung upside down.
Off. Yeah. I don't quite know how that's supposed to work, but it is a very interesting design. It's nice to see somebody in DC has actually tried to go the route of, wait, maybe our characters could be content for once. Not everyone can brood on a belfry. General comic news, it's going to seem like there's a bit of it, but that's only because we're 2 weeks from Comic-Con and the announcements are really starting to pour like wine. We found out about the Ghostbusters art show. There's something that's going on I may have to check out just for the sake of, though. There's going to be a Dr. Horrible sing-along.
Cool.
They're actually going to play the entirety of Dr. Horrible, and you can sit down and sing along with the whole thing on Thursday the 24th. Although I think that runs up against the time I'm supposed to be out of Video Games Live, unfortunately. That's too bad.
Yeah. I just watched that again not too long ago, and I still have it stuck in my head.
Well, there's also the list of exhibitors and fan tables has been updated. The full map of exhibitors is actually available for people to peruse. I was there last year, and it's still goddamn intimidating. Have you guys ever seen the map?
No.
I'm going to send you a link so you can take a look. This is the exhibit hall map, and it runs the length of the building with the exception of Hall H. I know you guys haven't seen the building, so it's kind of hard to put that in perspective, but I'd say this is about 3/4 to a mile of contiguous exhibit hall space.
I'm definitely going to get my exercise.
You're getting inside?
I don't know.
Don't do that. But it's just, when you look at this thing, it's intimidating on paper.
I think I've been in a mall this big.
I'm sure I've been in a mall this big. It's only one other time in my history I've been in a convention this big.
It's a pretty big convention.
But if you use the Zoom features, you can easily find that there's a booth here for Marvel, Sideshow Collectibles, Big Hero 6, Cartoon Network. MTV has a booth for some reason. BBC America, 20th Century Fox, ABC, Warner Brothers Games. Looks like Capcom has its own pavilion there off to the right side. There's going to be a lot of shit to look at. Actually, something I haven't quite figured out is usually inside they have seating areas. Although it looks like those have been removed. There's usually places you can sit down and just kind of catch your breath, but I don't see that this time around.
There is no more room for slackers.
Get up and do something. So, it's... God, this weekend is going to be... Not this weekend, thank God. 1 week from now, I'm going to be just running stupid. Vikings is actually going to be a Comic-Con this year with the with not just a panel, but some kind of Vikings event off-site. It's going to be a place where you can get dressed up like a Viking, take some pictures and a short video, and actually have it sent to your friends. Oh, here we go. It's called the... Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just envisioning what their dress up like a Viking is.
Well, here we go. It's the Backlot experience. It will allow attendees to step foot into the world of Vikings, and attendees will be able to create a character profile, choose a weapon of choice, before being placed into 3 scenes complete with Vikings, ships, battles, axes, and villages. The experience will be filmed, and fans will walk away with a 30-second video to share on social media.
Nice.
Several members of the cast who play Ragnar, Lagertha, Rollo, and Bjorn will be on site on Friday, July 25th to sign autographs and take photos at the off-site experience.
I wonder if they'll stay for 30 minutes and then leave.
I take it that's a reference to something I wrote.
Maybe.
Okay. I wasn't aware you guys would actually read what I wrote. Square Enix is also hosting an arcade-style public showcase during Comic-Con. It's going to be open on Friday and Saturday, the 25th and 26th. They're going to show up a line of video games, including Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, a team-based vampire versus human online game, Nosgoth, and 2 Hitman titles, Hitman Go and Hitman Sniper, as well as other Deep Silver titles.
Nice.
It's going to be going on at the Whiskey Girl in the Gaslamp District. Every time I stop a story like this, I just say, V, I tried to get you to go. I tried.
I literally could not go.
It's okay. The trolleys have already, for the last week, been dressed up in Comic-Con covers. The trolleys in downtown San Diego run a particular route, and they're already wrapped up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. vinyl.
Huh.
Nice.
Well, I said the last time we got together, they already put up the banners for Comic-Con, and that's like a month before the convention. It appears that Vikings, though, are not the only ones that are going to have an off-site experience. There's also... let me see, Sleepy Hollow and Gotham off-site experiences to be had. They've also heard that the Xbox Gaming Lounge is going to be returning for all 4 days of San Diego Comic-Con, thanks to Comic-Con International. It's going to be at the Manchester Grand Hyatt in the Seaport Ballroom. You can enjoy over 85 gaming stations and 25 different Xbox games, complete with tournaments, autograph signings, and photo ops for Halo, Dragon Age, and Evolve. God damn, there's a lot to do here.
Someday.
Next year. I just want to say next year, you know.
All right.
Just put together a plan, save some money, and next year all 4 of us should get down there and just be freaking stupid.
I'll try.
Well, let me see. There's also the Game of Thrones off-site experience going on. Wow. I think a bat died.
Yes, I'm over here annihilating bats. I wouldn't do that. I
didn't
love
think
bats.
I didn't think you were taking a hammer to bats. I think that noise you just made one commit suicide.
Sorry.
But there's the Game of Thrones Survive the Realm experience at the Omni Hotel. There's the Assassin's Creed experience next to the Hilton Gaslamp Hotel. The NBC experience at Gaslamp Square. The Godzilla display behind the Convention Center next to the Fifth Avenue Pier. Homer's Dome at the Hilton San Diego Bayfront. The Nintendo Video Game Lounge at the San Diego Ballroom at the Marriott Marquis and Marina. And the Sony Pixels Adventure at the Hard Rock Hotel, as well as the Adventure Time Conquest Fulfillment Center across from the Children's Museum. That's all off-site shit going on.
Adventure time.
Well, not only that, MTV is holding a fan fest on Thursday from 7 to 11 p.m. at Petco Park. Do you know what it takes to get into that? Flash your San Diego badge. That's it. And not only that, the whole thing is being kicked off with a performance by multi-platinum band London Park.
Damn.
Wait, I didn't know they were still touring.
Well,
we're doing things.
It's think it's the end of a tour series because it says there will be a series finale status can't miss event. Come join us for free food, drinks, music, and giveaways. Holy fuck, people. Let me see. We're moving on to actual general comic news. There's a new comic coming out at Image called Wayward. It's being done by a writer called Jim Zub, and he's looking back into his... he's going back and creating a comic book based on Japanese lore.
That's interesting.
It tells the story of a young girl named Rory Lane who finds herself and her friends fighting against monsters and haunting figures of Japanese mythology. That's definitely very different from what you get from Japanese-influenced comic books. Most of them have to do with chicks with rifles.
Really?
Yeah, most Japanese-influenced comic books are more of the anime styling, not really the historical.
Sure.
I think Steve and Jesse can agree to that one. But that's not the only story. Mark Waid is returning to Boom Comics for a new creator-owned series. He is not saying exactly what he's doing, but he says he's doing a quote with a dear friend of mine, one of the most revered artists in comics, one I've wanted to work with for a long time and never have, unquote. This is going to be kind of serious, because the last time Mark Waid joined up with Boom Comics, he created 2 series, Irredeemable and Incorruptible. I would recommend you guys read at least the first couple of issues of that, because that is a scary group of series. He created a universe where there's this Justice League-style cast. They're kind of obvious knockoffs, but it gets more detailed as the series goes along. But the central hero of the universe, the Plutonian, his Superman allegory, goes insane and suddenly conquers the world.
Just on a whim? One Friday night?
Actually, he was tired of being belittled. He was tired of people treating him like an alien. He was tired of feeling like an outsider. You remember our pop culture profiling sessions? Basically, it plays like that. He's just tired of people talking down to him. He's tired of trying to need people all the time. He's tired of trying to get the girl, and she keeps rebuffing him. So he just literally goes out and takes it out on everybody. The first issue has this guy who I suspect is like the Batman of his universe. He's human, a couple kids, a cave and all that. And he basically flies in there and annihilates all the members of his family with his laser vision.
Wow.
Yeah. Then he kills them, of course. But the Incorruptible is the flip side of that coin, because you have this major villain, if I remember correctly, called Max Danger. He's indestructible during certain times of the day. Been a real badass, hardened criminal, but after the Plutonian went crazy, he found himself in this weird position where he started saving people. Hey, if you want to rob people and create some mayhem, that's something, but, a lot of times villains aren't out for the absolute destruction thing. Something that's probably going to make V happy, though, is that Alex Maleev has joined Mike Mignola in creating a new series that's supposed to be set before Hellboy died, called Hellboy and the BPRD. They're going to start telling the early stories of Hellboy before there was an official company following him around, and he was just figuring out what he was and how he could handle demons.
That's cool.
So it's a prequel story. It's supposed to launch on December 3rd. And I did read the latest issue of Star Trek this week. Did you?
Nope.
They started the Q Gambit with 35. I read through the whole thing because I knew this was going to be a point of discussion at some point. And I think it's going to be it's a 6-issue series. So it's going to run from 35 to 41. And the first issue went exactly where we thought it might. They did end up outside a particular space station. Although it looked like there were Dominion ships flying under it, so I have a couple questions. But the whole thing starts kind of interestingly with Q telling Picard that Spock is still alive. Obviously Picard comes from the universe where Spock took his actions to try and save Romulus. And then he tells him about the alternative universe, and Picard tells him not to mess with it. But it's going to be destroyed. It's our purview not to meddle on alternative universes. Okay, I promise not to mess with it, as soon as you promise to breathe one individual oxygen atom and filter out all the rest around it.
Okay.
In other words, like I can stop. There's an interesting new series coming out from an independent group. Croatian artists are launching a series called Death Vigil. It's a new creator-owned series published by Image, following a recently deceased man named Sam and his servitude as part of a dwindling army of death dealers fighting against an all-seeing, all-powerful force known as the Enemy.
That's...
In other words, in this story, a version of the Grim Reaper is the hero. It's an interesting idea. But you see, Seiji was named as Newsarama's one of top 10 to watch in 2014. He apparently been working for Top Cow for a while. This is a different type of series I think I can read. The art in it is pretty striking as well. You guys want an example?
Shoot.
Sure.
It's this weird semi-painted style. It's almost like a cross between comic books and video games, really. A pretty clean look, though. Yeah, I could sit down and read this. It doesn't say when. Doesn't say when exactly it's coming out, but I got to look this up.
It's kind of pretty.
Top Cow did have some really interesting series running through it. Last bit of general comic news I have. Are you ready to dance your cares away?
What?
Are you ready to dance your cares
I
away?
am never ready to dance my cares away.
Well, you can leave your worries for another day. Anybody get where I'm going with this?
Nope. Should we?
Would you read a series about Fraggles?
Oh, God.
About what?
There's a new miniseries coming out by K. Leth and Boom Comics. Fraggle Rock is getting its own comic for a little while.
Okay.
That's intriguing. I don't know what we're talking about.
You really don't? Oh, okay. Maybe she's from the wrong age to
I
discuss
guess.
that.
Are we that old?
The miniseries is being called the series is being called Fraggle Rock: Journey to the Everspring. Fraggle Rock was a TV series that ran, God, like 25 years ago, I think.
It's been remade a couple times.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's got
It's
a bunch of small creatures living in caves, eating garbage and constructs. It's kind of a strange
it's
concept.
a Jim Henson.
It's just,
It was after he kind of finished off doing as much of the Muppets and kind of moved on to that.
I think, yeah.
Did he get?
It was one of those series that was preternaturally cute and played very well to preschoolers, but once you turned like 7, you just kind of sat there going, why did I find this one?
Colors.
So they're getting their own miniseries. I almost sang the theme, but I thought that might be a little too obvious and painful. We have a little bit of anime in Japan news. There was an interesting story that came out about a soccer team called the Urawa Reds. Urawa? U-R-A-W-A. Urawa? Well, their team is called the Reds. They had to play in an empty stadium.
Oh.
That's not a joke, and it's not because of low sales. They were forced to play another team in an empty stadium because fans were banned for racist banter.
I believe it.
Before a match on March 8th, the fans put up a banner that said Japanese only.
That's not racist, but it might be kind of xenophobic.
Well, it's kind of both, because Japan still does have its own group of immigrants in there. The banner was written in English and hung over the stadium entrance. And FIFA has a strong pledge right now to stamp out racism and discrimination. So in turn, the Reds were allowed to play, just nobody was allowed to come see the game.
So it was still filmed, right?
Yeah, it was still a live game. It was still an official game. It's just kind of weird because I'm still not clear who you're punishing, because I know fans would love to see their soccer, but the team lost out at a hell of a lot of revenue during that day. It's a bizarre picture to see these soccer players running around doing their due in an empty stadium. That's probably the first time ever that the stadium announcer didn't just yell goal. He probably just sat there and said, oh, there's a goal.
Yeah, that does seem a little odd.
Also, yeah, I don't quite understand how that's supposed to work, but they did it. This is something I never expected to say. The Batman manga is going to be released in English.
Batman manga.
Yes. It's a digital first series. It's getting an English translation. It's from the 1960s. And it's never been published in the U.S. as a full run. The entire body of work is over 1,000 pages. It was being done by Jiro Kawada.
Okay.
It's actually going to debut on July 5th in the DC Comics app. It's an older manga, as you can imagine. I just kind of laughed at the title, because the official title is Batman, the Jiro Kawada Bat Manga.
Bat manga.
I'm not making that up. It's very Japanese. It involves Batman going up against a new enemy called Lord Deathman.
Orc Deathman?
No,
Oh, Lord Deathman.
Like King,
Okay.
Lord Deathman.
That makes more sense than orc.
I wonder if the series was Happy Fun Time. I am a fan of an anime series called Excel World. It is set in the same universe as Sword Art Online, probably about 30 years later. You know, the technologies increase and everything, and the games move much faster. The thing is, Excel World is not going to get a season 2.
Yeah, well, I guess some people were complaining specifically that Sword Art Online wasn't going to go into Excel World. And I'm like, it doesn't. They're two separate series.
They actually do connect. They talk about the early progenitors of the VR headsets in Excel World, and they show a picture of the VR headgear from Sword Art Online.
Well, yeah, I know. It's in the same Earth and whatnot, but it's an advanced timeline. There's no characters yet that have shown up, that were in Sword Art Online that are in Excel World. I mean, it's common knowledge. Ricky, wrote, the two worlds to be interlinked. It's also, pretty common for everyone's guessed that Saito's the one that, made the device for going into Excel World. But yeah,
the thing is, though, the reason why this series is not getting a season 2 is not quite what you may think it is. It has nothing to do with sales or popularity. The reason, according to the author of Sword Art Online, Kawahara Reiki, the character designer Abek, and the producer Kazuma Miki, is because Sunrise is too goddamn busy with Love Live to make another season.
Well,
now the word "goddamn" was added by me simply because that irritates me. I'm not a fan of Love Live.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you're going to bump a series that still has a lot of story to be told simply because you're really busy telling the idol story.
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that it won't get a second season. It just won't get one right now.
The reason for irritation
for
me, anyway.
I would like to see the second season, but I content myself with the novels.
Well, the last bit of anime in Japan news I have is kind of a follow-up on a story we read previously. Fans are now complaining that AKB48 handshaking events are, quote, now like a slave market, unquote.
A slave market.
Yeah, well, the fans and the idols are now separated by a barrier that kind of raises up and makes it almost impossible for someone to take a direct swing at them unless they make a couple steps to climb the barrier, and then it gets very obvious. There's people standing there making sure that nobody has the opportunity to do that. They run through metal detectors. There's like these cubicle-style areas. They're searched. They're working very hard to make sure that no other ladies are accosted at these events.
Good for them.
Have any of these people gone through airport terminals? It's
probably not in the U.S.
Fucking thing.
No.
Hard to say. Although the ladies look much more comfortable at these events now. Hopefully they're actually cleaning these idiots' hands as they go through right now. I don't quite know what else to say, except that the idols actually look like they're in a better place.
That's good.
Yeah, this is good for them. Hopefully they won't be. Hopefully it won't be utterly accosted now. We have nerd interest news. Remember that auction we talked about a couple weeks ago where the U.S. government was auctioning off some bitcoins? 30,000 bitcoins they got from the Silk Road seizure?
Yep.
Well, there were 45 bidders and 63 bids submitted during just the 12 hours on June 27th that the auction was active. They didn't disclose the winner's identity, but the auction was for 29,656 bitcoins. And let me see, it appears that they won about $4 million off this. The bitcoins themselves, at current market exchange, were worth about $19 million. Holy fuck! Oh no, I'm sorry. The $4 million was was produced by a particular company that was part of the bidding. So somebody got themselves a small fortune in bitcoins. Really, I wonder who got them.
Who knows? Well, I'm sure we'll find out
eventually. There's a new self-defense device coming out that involves some interesting technology. It's called the Defender. It is a bottle of pepper spray that actually contains a GPS unit and a camera in it. So as soon as you just press the trigger to send the pepper spray, it also takes a quick picture of whoever's accosting you. Yeah. It's an interesting idea. As soon as you depress it, it also sends a signal to local authorities to come to your location. It's not a for pre-order yet, but somebody's come up with a very interesting idea that just involves current technology. It also has 24/7 monitoring by trained safety and medical alert response units. It has Bluetooth to connect to your smartphone. It has a camera, GPS, a siren on it too. So it's just going to do everything it can to tell somebody that something bad is happening. It's a nifty little device.
Sounds pretty convenient.
Okay, Steve, remember the conversation that happened earlier about smoking? Mm-hmm. Here's the story where this all comes around. Britain does not like the idea of people smoking.
Okay.
I mean, apparently the country's government does not, because they are running through the process to try and introduce a bill to ban smoking for anyone born after the year 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not going to go over well.
Yeah.
Well, it's they want to make the country completely tobacco-free within the next 20 years. The motion passed the British Medical Association's annual representatives meeting. And it's going to lead to doctors' union lobbying the government to introduce a ban on kids that are currently 14 years or older. So it's just the youngest generation that would be affected by this thus far.
I'm kind of on board with that, I have to admit.
There's positives and negatives to this. It's one of those cases where it's a serious health problem. That's a lot of government micromanaging of your day-to-day.
Yeah. That's why I'm only kind of.
Yeah. You know, nobody will miss salt. It's bad for you.
Well, how about this? This is more V's realm. Physicists have created a tractor beam using water.
Nice.
The Physics ARXIV blog explains that a team of physicists worked with waves generated by an elongated block of vibrating up and down on the surface of the water, producing a train of oval waves, which are almost linear. So they found a way, using water at least, to create a tractor beam, to draw water to something. What was somebody calling a tractor beam?
Apologies.
Okay. It's not exactly a laser beam, but it's a start on the concept, at least. There's another convention going on the same time as Comic-Con, although it's going on in Chicago. It's called Social Con. It's what it sounds like. There's a convention basically featuring heavyweights in technology and social media. I'm not quite sure where to go with it beyond that. It's going to have FAM4 team members of Nash Greer, Hayes Greer, Cameron Dallas, and Carter Reynolds. Some people named Reggie Coos, Princess Lauren, and Tony Randall. I am not into social media deep enough to probably know who these people are. But the convention is being produced by Wizard World, who does like the 20 comic book conventions across the U.S. right now. It's not going on with San Diego Comic-Con. It's going on in conjunction with Wizard World Chicago Comic-Con, August 21st to 24th.
Ah.
Huh? You know? What can I say? It is what it is. I'm sure you guys have heard that there was a product called Aereo that was ruled by the Supreme Court to be more like a cable company instead of an individual service. So they want them to stop sending out free rebroadcasts of network shows. Well, Aereo has decided to counter this move by saying that Aereo, since it's a cable company, now wants to be treated like one.
Okay.
What that means is that as a cable company, they feel they're entitled to the same statutory license that cable companies pay broadcasters.
What will that entail?
That would basically mean that they have the right to use the profits they gain from the sale of the antennas they use for the rebroadcast and send them to the broadcasters as a form of payment for the licensing. If they're a cable company, then they deserve the right to market as one.
Gotcha.
So they're trying to find a way to stay alive beneath a very rough system. I don't quite know how they're a cable company necessarily when all they're doing is rebroadcasting the network shows, which are broadcast to begin with.
Who knows?
Yeah. It's one of those things that's legally complicated, and someone's got a bug up their butt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. The Pentagon has successfully tested the first small caliber self-guided bullets.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
50 caliber bullets that maneuver independently mid-flight to accurately strike targets purposefully offset from where the firing sniper was aimed.
Huh.
Bullets that correct their own course. It was a prototype developed by Sandia National Laboratories and Lockheed Martin. It's about 4 inches long, and the bullets feature optical tips to direct laser beams shown on targets. Actuators inside the bullets then steer tiny fins on the surfaces, which guide them to their targets based on information from the sensors. That is a scary fucking thought. It's almost like sci-fi movies from the 80s where you see guys running and somebody's chasing with a camera pretending to be the bullet.
Oh man, can you imagine this in the Uzi?
Oh, Christ. See, if something like this becomes commercially useful, then I would almost say you have to ban guns in the U.S. They're too dangerous. You can't hide anymore.
Yeah, but then only the criminals will have it.
If it's just criminals and cops, then that means they're easier to identify rather than that guy that just says, it's my Second Amendment right, man.
Yeah, there is that.
Oh, they can just ban the bullet.
Yeah, that works so well.
About as well as banning the gun.
Exactly.
I would still ban the gun and legalize swords.
I would legalize swords. I'd be down with that.
Let me see. Do you guys remember that Microsoft isn't working on its own Siri-like application based on a Halo character?
Vaguely?
Yeah.
Well, they were... people with Business Insider were already impressed with the test of the Cortana app back in April. But Cortana was apparently able to correctly predict most of the outcome of this year's World Cup matches.
What?
Yeah. The system was actually able to correctly predict most of this year's World Cup bracket. That's frightening. But the Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, sent out a massive memo to employees that apparently they're going to expand on this thing. They want Cortana to be able to adapt within the programming. In other words, it's going to sense if you repeatedly do something or go to a location throughout, through use of the phone's GPS, and then it'll be able to remind you from notes it's taken of meetings or locations that you're supposed to go to without being asked to. Like if you repeatedly ask it questions about the weather to determine what your outfit's going to be like, it will start telling you by itself when the weather's going to take a turn and you need to change your hat.
That's the start of AI.
Yeah, start. We've had the start.
It's one of those things where if it understands enough about the habits of your meetings, it may start to automatically transcribe notes for you. They want this to be a full personal assistant rather than just a useful application.
This is both frightening and exciting at the same time, in my opinion.
You imagine that period where you're going to a meeting, you just kind of put your phone down on a desk, and all of a sudden a half-naked blue woman suddenly just pops up and starts staring at you. Because we're halfway there already with a projection technology. If they get smart enough, we may actually end up there.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some jackass who just tells the first thing as soon as they boot it up, okay, call me Master Chief.
Dance.
Pretty much. Last bit of nerd interest news I have is that Disney is trying to get a lawsuit tossed out regarding autistic children. Do you remember we did discuss a while ago, Disney had to change their policies regarding handicapped individuals and line cutting simply because too many people were abusing the policy? At least that was according to their statement. Well, some people have sued them saying that the current policy that they've replaced it with is too traumatic to kids, and there's been some meltdown behavior as a result. Disney is trying to get that tossed out. I don't know if they're more or less saying that's not their problem, but their standpoint is that they adapted the policy so that everybody who's actually disabled gets a fair chance at the rides. But the person doing the suit is also claiming there's a magic list, what they call, quote, a secret list of persons whom Disney will automatically extend advantages to without the stigma of a disability card and without a mandatory photograph and without the newly ingrained disrespect of Disney employees. 5 immediate entry, no appointment ride passes, unquote.
Well, if they've got proof...
Yeah, I know. You're going to have to come up with more than an allegation in a lawsuit to substantiate that. They better have something, because a simple subpoena to Disney is not going to turn up anything. You can tie that up in legal bullshit for years. Well, last we have is our What the Fuck Corner, where we talk about the strange things we find on the internet that just make us ask how we've survived this long. Top of that list is a science teacher who claims to have lost 60 pounds eating nothing but McDonald's.
Bullshit.
Ew. Unless she got a tapeworm.
Well, his name is John Sisna. He's a science teacher from Iowa who saw the 2004 documentary Super Size Me, the one where the videographer lived off McDonald's for a month, gained weight, lost his sex drive. Well, Sisna apparently did his own version of that. He actually ate according to a meal plan, a 2,000-calorie diet, and he says he lost weight. He's released a picture that shows that on the first day he weighed. Wow, this is the time to load slowly. He weighed 280 pounds. By day 180, 6 months, he weighed 219 pounds. It shows pictures and everything of his progress. Man. I mean, he claims that his schedule was that 2 egg white delights, a bowl of maple oatmeal, a bottle of 1% milk, a salad, and dinner was a value meal with fries. He said his favorite was the Big Mac.
If you're following a dietary plan,
maybe, but
I know that's why I'm kind of curious about this, because it's not like he took the standards of the McDonald's menu.
They say he lost weight, but did he do so healthily?
I do not know. I mean, I guess the question I have to ask in the first place is, what was his diet like before all this? And I would say the 2 egg white delights and a bowl of maple oatmeal, I know they're on McDonald's menu, but it's not exactly the things they advertise.
No, they advertise egg white delights. That was with their coffee commercial for a while. How do you take your coffee? With an egg white delight, blah, blah, blah.
I have no idea. I don't watch McDonald's commercials.
It's not like I'm like, oh, dude, the new McDonald's commercial's out. I'm watching TV. The commercial came on.
You sound like one of those people that said, McDonald's back! I don't know. Like I said, this is all stuff that I'm relatively unfamiliar with. It's like at lunch he had a salad. I mean, his eating plan doesn't sound like it sounds like you order off a McDonald's menu, but a lot of this is not stuff you can find solely at McDonald's, so
right.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's making a point that, yes, you can eat healthily at McDonald's, it's just, don't order, that was the problem, the other guy, he did the documentary, and he supersized everything. Well, of course you're going to gain fucking weight, you're eating way too much. This guy's eating healthily at McDonald's, yes, it's possible.
I just don't order McDonald's. I don't like how they treat their employees.
I haven't been to a McDonald's in forever. It has nothing to do with their employees. It just has to do with the fact that every time I eat there, I get the runs.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm wondering. Like, if he ate nothing but McDonald's, I don't.
You think he pooped weight away?
Think that's very nutritious. I
don't know. A salad can't be that bad for you.
Actually, some salads at fast food joints can be pretty horrible for you.
And also, like, the typical fast food salad is just lettuce, and there's not really a whole lot of nutrients in iceberg lettuce.
Right, no. I don't know. I honestly can't say that I've had a McDonald's salad, but I seem to remember them having a little more than just lettuce, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, how's this for a switch? We'll move on to a story that says that Nebraska has accidentally released hundreds of inmates. Now they want them back.
Of course they do.
306 inmates were erroneously freed.
Hell of a filing error.
250. 257 of them will not be pursued on a condition they don't commit any more offenses. Most of the others have died since they were let go. 5 successfully completed parole while they were out.
How do you complete parole while being... I don't understand.
I have no... Maybe they were released early into parole as a mistake. I don't know. But there's also 567 inmates who weren't released who received incorrect sentences.
Wow, they're just really batting 100.
Yeah, 20 to 25 arrest warrants were issued in 8 counties in Nebraska. Some of the former prisoners would qualify for furlough programs. One is being paroled. I'm so glad I left Nebraska. There's so few people in a lot of the towns. 1 out of every 10 could be one of these guys. Holy shit. I think I've seen pictures of a guy who fell asleep during a Yankees-Red Sox game.
I came across that.
There's this heavy-set guy named Andrew Rector. He's 26. He was asleep during a game. No big deal. Lots of people, I'm sure, are asleep during a game as interesting as baseball. But he fell asleep during the April 13th game. It was nationally televised on ESPN, and he was noticed by cameras. And the commentators talked about him a little bit. But this guy is now suing for $10 million.
Because they saw him on TV?
No, because they said some
because quote,
offensive shit, I'm sure.
Not exactly. Well, this guy calls it an unending verbal crusade. The Smoking Gun got a copy of the lawsuit. Part of the quote is, quote, announcers like Dan Schulman and John Crook unleashed avalanche of disparaging words against the person and concerning the plaintiff. These words include, but are not limited to, stupor, fatty, unintelligent, stupid, knowing and intending the same to be heard and listened by millions of people all over the world. The defendant, Major League Baseball, continually repeated these vituperative utterances against the plaintiff on the Major League Baseball website the next day. These words and its insinuations presented the plaintiff as a symbol of anything but failure. They present him as a symbol of anything but failure. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's just badly worded. It goes on to say, quote, the defendant, MLB.com, continued the onslaught to a point of comparing the plaintiff to someone of a confused state of mind, disgusted, disgruntled, and unintelligent, and probably intellectually bankrupt individual. The story in Yahoo News actually points out that the ESPN broadcast didn't say any of the things alleged in the suit. Most of the suit, it seems to involve words based off of comments from the internet afterwards. The Yahoo News story says that Crook and Schulman did make fun of him a bit, saying that the ballpark isn't a nice place to sleep and that he was oblivious. That apparently was the extent of their words. Well, when you're asleep, you're arguably oblivious.
Yeah.
Part of the lawsuit is calling out MLB for using a picture of two men kissing to imply that Richter is gay under the headline "Sleeping Yankees fan cares not for your rivalry talk." Believe it or not, that part of the lawsuit is based on a parody website called NotSportsCenter.com. So basically, this guy fell asleep at a game, woke up, had a stupid idea, and then it's being propagated by other stupid ideas. So all he's going to do is make himself famous for being fat and asleep. Now that's probably going to be added to his lawsuit. There's a judge that ruled that a creationist teacher... the judge ruled against a creationist teacher who called a Buddhist student's face, quote, stupid.
A creationist teacher said this even.
The student is known only as Cece and was asked by a sixth grade teacher, Rita Rourke, to answer the following question on a test. Isn't it amazing what the quote has made? Or isn't it amazing what the blank has made, unquote? When Cece failed to respond to Lord, Rourke responded, you're stupid if you don't believe in God. Apparently, the teacher also frequently denigrated his faith as Buddhist as well as the Hindu faith, referring to both as stupid. Parents complained to the Sabine Parish Superintendent, Sarah Ebarb. They were told that, quote, this is the Bible Belt, and they should expect to find the Christian God in the classroom, quote. And Ebarb advised them that if they wanted an ungodly classroom, they should transfer CC to a school where, quote, there are more Asians, unquote.
Oh. Wow, I'm offended.
Yeah.
This is way beyond ignorance here. It doesn't say what particular state this came out of.
It's in the Bible Belt.
The judge also rendered the decision that all members of the school board, as well as faculty, both current and incoming, be trained by an attorney approved by the ACLU and the ACLU of Louisiana as to their responsibilities with respect to the First Amendment. The training will emphasize the, quote, psychological and developmental impact of religious discrimination on students, unquote. Okay, so apparently this is Louisiana. The judge just basically slapped them all on the head with the law and said, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Now we find out who the real idiot is.
Watch, they're going to go to all the sensitivity training, come out and say, well, that was stupid.
You're entitled to your opinion, but you still got to follow the law.
Pretty much. Well, there's another unfortunate parallel to be made there, Jesse. There's a politician who explained why sodomy is causing the AIDS virus due to sperm enzyme.
What now?
What?
Bob Frey, he's a Republican running for the House of Representatives out of Minnesota. He's worried about the economic cost of sodomy, according to IO9. He says he's not against gay people, but he says the problem is that sperm are the cause of HIV in sodomy.
Right.
Hang on. Calm down. His theory is that sperm extrudes a burning enzyme that's only neutralized when sperm meets an egg. Yeah, in other words, the enzyme sperm will use to get through the protective layer of an egg in a woman's uterus. He believes that this enzyme is creating immunodeficiencies in gay men's rectum and creating the AIDS virus.
Has this guy gone through biology?
I'm laughing just saying this due to how stupid this is.
Wow.
I want to hit my head against the desk, but that would be loud. Frey said, quote, "It's more about sodomy than about pigeonholing a lifestyle. When you have an egg and a sperm that meet in conception, there's an enzyme in the front that burns through the egg. The enzyme burns through so the DNA can enter the egg. But when the sperm is deposited anally, it's the enzyme that causes the immune system to fail. That's why the term is AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome," unquote. Okay, so obviously half the porn stars I've watched in my adult lifetime should have AIDS by now.
Not if you wear a condom, because then the sperm doesn't. What the fuck?
Oh, I don't know. According to what this guy says, they could probably eat through the condom just to deposit AIDS in some woman's rectum.
Oh,
wow.
Because, you know, none of those sperm cells ever hit the vaginal walls.
He's running for the House of Representatives in Minnesota, Jesse. This man wants to be one of the people running our lives.
Of course he does. He knows what causes AIDS. He obviously deserves to be in office. He knows what the fuck he's talking about.
According to his description, though, it's amazing that most women don't have tumors in their stomach,
I know.
frankly.
It's because sperm never touches the vaginal walls. I mean...
No, it moves directly for that egg, and apparently if it can't find one, that's when it starts hitting the colon.
We've now discovered also the reason why women wind up with ovarian cancer and so forth.
I just want to ask, do you think this guy has personal experience with this particular problem?
Don't know.
that would be ironic.
It's just so stupid.
Wow. I mean, I hurt when I read Brandon's thing that he posted on Facebook with all the stupid quotes, like, you know, somebody tried to convince this guy that the sun was a star. No, it's a motherfucking sun. I'm just like,
oh, wow,
God,
yes, that hurt. Why'd you show me that?
Because I had to share my pain.
I just like that, though. I'm not pigeonholing a lifestyle, but anal sex causes AIDS. Well, you are pigeonholing a lifestyle.
Holding the lifestyle anal sex, damn it.
Yeah, just one that doesn't involve just men. I'm sure he doesn't realize this, so he probably didn't put two and two together, because, after all, men and women should only have good, clean, vaginal, boring sex. You know, if you use more than one position, that might cause AIDS. God damn it.
You get herpes if she's on top.
So you get saddle sores on top? Oh, Christ. Well, I got another one here that's almost as stupid. There's a man who accidentally killed an upstairs neighbor. A 5-year-old with a rifle.
Oh.
The thing is, he wasn't using it as a rifle. He was using the rifle as a crutch.
What? Wait, what?
Ooh. So he was...
An Oregon man told police he was using an assault rifle as a crutch to get up from a house when it accidentally went off and fired a burst through the ceiling of his apartment.
Oh.
He killed a little girl upstairs.
I bet he feels like absolute shit.
Unless he did.
Well, hopefully he does, because he's currently being held on $250,000 bail on charges of manslaughter, assault, and unlawful possession of a machine gun.
Yeah.
I mean, for Christ's sake, if you don't... the ownership of it is one thing I have a beef with him myself, but that's just me. I mean, I don't know why you need an assault rifle in the U.S. these days. But you could have a hunting rifle for that. That's a single bolt action. But the other thing that's obviously stupid is that this guy is too unintelligent to clear his goddamn weapon before using it in a purpose it's really not intended for.
Maybe turn on the safety? Not have a clip in it? I don't know.
How about you buy a $30 cane, man?
Right.
Hop on one leg.
Seriously. Well, he's probably just going to get another beer anyway. For Christ's sake, the guy was 27. I don't know what he did to need a crutch, but get a crutch, for frick's sake. The worst part is, now the police probably gave him one.
Yeah.
He's in jail, after all. I have not been to a KFC in quite a while. They seem to be kind of receding as far as a national chain. Thank goodness I don't go to a KFC in England. There was a 7-year-old named Oliver Hallam purchased a takeout meal from a KFC in Killingsworth. Oliver took a bite out of his chicken. Wasn't chicken. It was a hand towel.
A hand towel?
Yeah, you can see the blue roll inside.
Somebody fried a hand
They're
towel.
guessing that. Apparently in the kitchen, the paper towel dispenser is up above the fryer, and they're guessing that nobody noticed when the near empty roll probably just fell in the fryer, and it looked like everything else in there by the time it was fried up.
It's gross.
They're pretty lucky. I mean, the hand towel could have, it could have had bleach or disinfectant on it, or somebody may have wiped their hands with it. It seems to be a clean.
Oh.
It appears to be an utter mistake. But it was supposed to be from a roll for hygiene purposes, and just not noticed by the cook. KFC made a statement in the Mirror that says, quote, "We're very sorry for Ms. Henderson's experience and apologize to her immediately, as well as giving her a refund at the time of the incident. We take food quality and hygiene very seriously, and unfortunately, on this extremely rare occasion, our restaurant failed to meet the high standards that both we and our customers expect. We have retrained staff on our stringent food preparation procedures at this store to ensure this doesn't happen again," unquote. They also offered the Hendersons a free meal. I would need a bit more than a free meal after that.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And I'm not even saying that to say, this is where I hire a lawyer and you owe me six figures. I would plainly tell them, I appreciate the free meal, but frankly, I'm disturbed and I need a little help.
What they did is a good start.
It is. At least they took it seriously. They took steps, which is all good. I just, you would have to really do some work to convince me that I need to eat at another KFC after I ate your cow.
Yeah.
That's just me. There's a woman who found some disturbing information about a house after she bought it. Well, not bought it, I'm sorry. She leased it. She used a Section 8 voucher that covered $810 in rent.
On an Indian
Landlord
cemetery?
seemed nice. No. She actually wasn't told much about the house. She found something on the floor. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was a comic I read. She didn't find anything on the floor. The house was nice, and the landlord even threw in a table and chairs that was already in the place. Well, while she was sitting down watching a documentary, it was a documentary about a serial killer named Maury Travis. He set up a torture chamber in the basement of the house she's currently living in. This guy apparently even recorded some of the crimes, and at one point, Maury Travis sent the St. Louis Dispatch a map to identify his 17th victim. Some of the victims were tied to a pole. That pole is still in the basement.
Yeah.
I would actually be kind of thrilled about that after it got done being creeped
No, I
out.
wouldn't stay there.
Well, the lady that rented the place, Katrina McGraw, she wanted out. She couldn't handle this. She called the landlord begging to get out of the lease, but the landlord is not letting her out of the lease.
Said she should have known about it beforehand, I imagine.
Well, apparently, according to the law book, you don't have to disclose things like murder when you're getting ready to rent or sell a house.
No.
Really?
What's this interesting chalk drawing on the floor? Oh, that's previous tenant had a kid. They like to draw stuff.
Yeah, only material defects in houses need to be disclosed at times of discussions over lease and sales. That sucks. But she says things keep getting weirder in the house. She had an incident with a 2-year-old relative that was playing in the basement near the pole where Travis tied up his victims. Quote, "She looked over and she was scared because it's like she saw somebody and started crying," unquote.
Why was a 2-year-old allowed down in the basement?
She was probably just playing,
Dude, I would have locked and sealed that fucker.
I know, but it's scary to think that a 2-year-old may have actually saw a spook in the house.
Locked and sealed.
I mean, I've lived and been and stayed in a few houses with basements. For a kid, they tend to be some of the most interesting places to play because they're wide, it's flat, and it's hard to damage. It's all concrete.
Locked and sealed.
Dude, I mean, I think you're being nice because, frankly, I would have been standing outside when the owner pulled up with the fire department wondering what happened to the house, and I would be the one standing here with a can of kerosene going, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what went wrong.
I swear, I was just trying to clean the sink. Okay, we've talked a little bit earlier about stupidity. Obviously sodomy causes AIDS and shit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the internet can be just as stupid. Because right now people are upset over the poaching of a dinosaur. That is not a joke, unfortunately.
I've seen that meme. I thought it was funny. Just the picture was funny. I didn't know anyone you know.
Okay. What happened with Steven Spielberg is on the set of the new movie Jurassic World, the follow-up to his Jurassic Park movies. And he sat in front of the body of a Triceratops. You know, it's laying on the ground. Obviously, it's a prop put together for the movie. And he snapped a photo. Well, there's an online commentator named Jay Branscombe who took the picture, and he decided to have some fun with it. He put it on Facebook with a, quote, disgraceful photo of recreational hunter happily posing next to a Triceratops he just slaughtered. Please share so the world can name and shame this despicable man, unquote. The photo has now had 30,000 shares. Some people have responded to this by saying, I don't care who he is, he should not have shot that animal. One person said, I bet the bastard only kept the horns. There is one long quote here I'm going to read to you by somebody identified on Facebook as Penelope Razor Bashund. She says, quote, he's a disgusting, inhumane prick. I'd love to see these hunters be stopped. I think zoos are the best way to keep these innocent animals safe. Assholes like this piece of shit are going into these beautiful animals' home and killing them. It's no different than someone coming into your home and murdering you. That's what's so selfish about people that hunt. They're uneducated, and their way of thinking is, well, these animals are overpopulating and are going to die anyway. Well, human beings are overpopulating, and guess what? If we were to kill an innocent human being and use that as an excuse, we'd be in prison. I think it's time to say the same thing about animal rights. Steven Spielberg, I'm disappointed in you. I'm not watching any of your movies again, animal killer.
I bet when she finds out...
Who says she's going to find out?
Sure.
Yeah, she's definitely in a bubble of her own little world.
It's like, why put out deer crossing signs? Because, you know, if the...
You could move them to places where it's safer for deer to cross.
You know, putting them across the freeway is just, you know, that's just unsafe. I mean, the deer... God,
you shouldn't invite deer to cross highways. That's not good for the deer.
That was so horrible.
I weep for our education system because obviously people can't tell the difference between a dead animal and a real animal.
Our education system is crap. It has been forever.
I don't even... I honestly, I can't blame the education system. There is a active ignorance. You know, it's getting to the point of that movie...
Idiocracy?
Idiocracy. Where being stupid is cool.
See, that's why I want to have children someday, so I can brainwash them to not be idiots.
That's my 10-year-old, God bless her, she drives me insane sometimes, but she's the one I've taken to the Anime Expo, looked at the crowds and just said, Dad, this is stupid. It's like, yeah, I know. You know, she's the one that points out security flaws that I've seen. I'll get to that later, because she's way too intelligent for what's going on. I think that's why she gets in a fight sometimes, unfortunately. The last bit of what the fuck news I have, there was a zoo in Canada that showed very much the attitude of Canadian animals. A pack of wolves managed to dig out of their enclosure. This was where was this here? It's a zoo in Winnipeg, and they dug their tunnel straight into the polar bear enclosure. So, obviously the stage has been set for a disaster. Well, zoo officials came in the next morning, found the wolves gone, looked in the enclosure next door. What did they find? 5 wolves walking around and 2 polar bears who don't give a shit.
Hey, they got fed.
Yeah, they didn't even wake up, apparently. So they're working on sealing the hole, and they've separated all the animals, but even the animals in Canada are polite.
Well, I mean, a wolf is not going to go after a polar bear because it's fucking huge, and a polar bear is not going to eat a wolf because it doesn't look delicious.
Oh, they do clash in the wild, but yeah.
You just imagine that conversation. Okay, Horace, we're free. Ooh, that's a big animal, eh? Here, let's sneak around. Maybe they got some food nearby, eh? No, don't step on it, you hoser. You might wake him up.
That's a pretty good accent.
You know, and then as soon as the zoo officials come in, hey, we got a little lost. Where's the front door, man?
Wow.
Thank you for the compliment, by the way. I've been listening to too much Kevin. From there, we'll go into something that wasn't quite the conversation of the week. We'll have that in a little bit. I was at the Anime Expo last weekend. Conventions are kind of a big deal on this show because we do record mobily. And Steve and Jesse had gone before. They both declined to go because of a combination of money and lack of interest. Not because they don't appreciate anime. They probably watch more than I do, frankly. It's just a matter that they don't like the convention. And unfortunately, this year, they would have been miserable, frankly. I know I did not have the best time. I
remember 4 hours in the heat.
That was extended in some cases to 8.
I heard 9.
Yeah, me too.
Some of the more extreme cases were 9. What happened was 20 minutes into registration, the entire registration system went down.
And instead of telling anybody and saying, oh, maybe you might want to come back and, so forth, then they just made everybody stand there.
Yeah, and that was the worst part, was that I was pressed, and somebody was walking around to, like, the premium pass members, those people that paid $200 to get in, and the industry people and the press people, and just kind of saying in low voices, look, we think it's going to be another hour before it gets up. You can wait here, or you can come back tomorrow morning. Nobody wanted to tell the people outside, obviously. Yeah. And I handed out 5 cases of water that afternoon. It was advertising for the website. I thought it was a good way to get attention. One guy called me a genius for doing it. But frankly, after hearing the registration went down, I was really sorry I couldn't buy like the 10 cases I really wanted to. That was a nightmare. I gave away some bottles just because people were complaining that they were having health issues or needed help. So it's charity is charity, dude. But the I left for an hour, okay? I left for an hour because somebody was having a hotel issue. I sat down, had something to drink, had something to eat, went back. The people I were waiting behind only moved up like 15 spots. In an hour.
Yeesh.
And they did have a bump up in registration this year. The number of bodies was very obvious because walking was goddamn near impossible. You can think that's funny all you like, fucker. No, seriously, you know that Sky Bridge, right, guys?
Yeah.
On the 2 halls? That was like a herd. A straight-up herd in both directions. And you remember that. That was generally crowded, but able to move through. This was more like mob of people walking through the entire time. There was no open space. And what pissed me off even more was, cosplay gatherings are kind of a big deal at this convention.
What?
Okay.
Groups of people getting together in costumes from the same series and taking large group photos together, right? Okay. By day 2, the gatherings were being moved around like crazy. And there was an organizational problem. It seems like there just weren't a lot of strong leaders. That was one problem. The other problem was a lot of the lines for the panels and things going on inside were moved outside.
What?
Yeah, where there's limited to no sun coverage. A lot of the places where people tend to gather now had line tape and people waiting on top of them for panels and shit.
Wow.
What is this again?
The Anime Expo. It's the biggest Japanese animation convention in the U.S.
And run like shit.
They said they had 81,000 people this year. They claimed they had to cap it off on Saturday due to the amount of people. Although other people are reporting they didn't cap it due to sales. They capped it because a fire marshal said there's too many people here.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
Well, even in the years where they were boasting like 50 and 60,000 people, you could tell there's too many people in these buildings. But some of that is also due to just plain lack of creativity and people cutting money in funny places. I found out there's about a quarter of the dealer's hall in South Hall was completely empty.
What? Man, they just didn't pay for it, so they could use it, so it got closed off, or what?
Well, there's a couple things here, Jesse. First of all, you remember where the South Hall is, where the dealers usually set up their shit, right?
It's been a while.
Oh, well, wait, we were there for Kamikaze. Do you remember that?
Barely.
Okay, you had to walk upstairs, and there's this entire hall, right? So there's the entirety of it. The left side of the building could be sectioned off as what they call Hall G. Now, in some years, this is where they held special events and concerts. This year, I heard a report that the premium members were lined up in here. I don't know if that's entirely true because I found a line of them outside who identified themselves as premium pass members. But either way, by day 3, the place was completely empty. Concrete floors, boxes, I saw a forklift rolling around trying to pick stuff up. Nothing in here. Not at all. So this is space that could have been used for seating, it's space that could have been used for lines, it's space that could have been used to get people out of the goddamn sun, but they decided not to. Whether or not they rented it, I don't know, but either way, it's fucking criminal to have this many problems with this many people standing outside in a shaded place to be available.
Agreed.
Let alone an air-conditioned place. And this is a year where there's absolutely no seating inside the dealer's hall. There wasn't any area set aside for people to cool their jets. It was all booth space. I mean, let's go on to another issue they had. You remember a couple of years ago, crowd control in the LA Convention Center for this convention was pretty anal retentive.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to sit in most places, off the walls or anything. You can just plant your butt anywhere. Crowd control inside the convention center this year was pretty much non-fucking existent. I can handle people sitting along the walls because there's some people who just they can't drive back and forth or walk back and forth to their hotels. They don't have a hotel. They're here for the day. However, there were people that were just kind of sitting in general open areas in West Hall. There were people sitting all over the place in South Hall. There was one moment that kind of crystallized the whole convention in one scene for me. In the food court area, they finally installed some extra ATMs so people could actually get cash. There were 4 people sitting halfway into the walking lane playing cards in front of one of the ATMs, and I mean directly in front of it.
Okay.
I'm sure you all can imagine the multitude of thoughts I had in this moment. Okay, I need to step over you. Okay, I need to step around you. Fuck you for being there. Why are you sitting right in front of an ATM? Does anyone have any need for privacy when they're trying to use this thing? Are you letting people use this thing?
Yeah. What'd you end up doing?
I didn't need an ATM. I bring cash with me, fuck's sake. I ended up walking directly through the game, frankly, because it's insulting that people are taking up half the walking lane and they're blocking off a machine. You know, that wasn't my way of saying fuck you. That was literally my way of trying to deliver a hint. You should not be here.
Sounds like whoever's running this doesn't know how to manage the space.
I would imagine not. I asked. There were a couple of occasions where I got a little lost within the building because they kept moving things around. And I asked several different staffers. Some people would call it answer shopping. My problem was that each staffer gave wildly different answers. I had to go to the Cosplay Wrestling Federation thing. They apparently moved it from the time they originally posted it, so I had to walk across the building again. I got to the room where it's advertised. I asked a person in there. They said that the lineup for it is outside and the runners are out there. The guy running it is who I was looking for. So I went outside. Couldn't find them. Asked the people watching the line. They said the people that were running it were inside somewhere. So somebody was supposed to lead me to them. As I was walking through the hallway with this person, we ran across the person I was looking for, who was walking in another direction. Turns out they were down the hall from the second person I asked. So there needs to be some training of the staffers, seriously, in both customer service and knowledge of...
Or at least some form of communication.
That, I mean, it could just be simple ignorance. I mean, if they changed things around as much as they did, they may have thought they knew what they were talking about. And they probably did at one point.
There's another part to the problem, though, that's kind of hard to bring up just in that conversation. Anime Expo is using a scheduling app on mobile phones called Guidebook.
Yeah, I heard this.
It's a very interesting app where you can pick up the schedule of an event, you can mark special items, it can send you reminders all the way up to an hour before the event. It can be really, really useful. The problem is that they've so frequently changed things via this app that they didn't send out any other programming to notify you of these changes other than the app changes. And it's not like the app will send a warning to your phone when it's not open. The only time the app will tell you when there's a change is if the app is already open. So what's the use in that? They would change things and cancel them on the fly, and then they would portray it as my fault because I didn't check the app between the time it took me to leave my hotel to the time it took me to walk inside the building.
That's stupid.
Never mind, people like me who actually still don't have one of those smartphones. And, yeah, I'm going to be completely lost.
I'm like you, dude. When you produce a schedule, that should be locked in stone. That's what you're going to do. I have a pen and paper, something easy I can pick up instead of taking out my phone, hitting the pin, opening the app, taking a double check to see whether or not you've changed it in the last 10 minutes.
All right, so they don't know how to manage their space, and they don't know how to organize their own people as well as guests and presenters.
No, but with the bump up in attendance, they're going to call it a success, and they're very unlikely to change anything unless people just stop going. I ran into 3 different people who said, this is my first and last Anime Expo. They have no interest in returning. And that was literally just me. I didn't even initiate the conversation. I overheard them complaining. And then I asked them a couple of questions. Then they told me their opinions. I had an issue, actually, with how they ran the Kill a Kill event. I got media ceased for that. And because I'm the photographer and the group of people that went, I had a tripod. They stuck all the people with tripods behind the first section of seating, which is really great when people were sitting. As soon as the concert with Aeroid started up, I had a problem. Because, I'm 5'7", which means I am just below average height. People standing up, average height is like 5'9". People standing up with their arms in the air during a concert are about 7'6". You know, people standing up with their arms in the air with sticks in their hands are about 7'10". You can see what happened to all of my sightlines. So I got a bunch of shit pictures during the concert, and when I asked people, can I move off to the side just to get a couple photos, they told me you have to stay in this shitty little piece of concrete. Didn't use the word shitty, but that's where they told me I had to stay. You know, all the photographers were angling towards the inner corner trying to get a shot, and some people were nice enough to try and move for me because they found dips in the crowd. Of course, dips generally mean somebody dropped something and now they picked it up and they're standing up again. I had a shit time. I left early. The interview with the voice actresses was very interesting. They were very bubbly, but it was rough.
Sounds like it.
You know, it's easily the worst year I've had at an Anime Expo, which is sad because it's the biggest. It should have been one of the more interesting years, but they have no concept how to go about using the building. Most of the meeting rooms were full, which is a good thing, but they should have set aside a couple rooms just to line people up, frankly. Keep them out of the sun, for freak's sake. I've seen people online who said, you've been here for a few years, you should know how this goes. Well, not everyone's been here for a few years. There's people flying in from out of the country to do this who probably have no concept as to how little coverage and help they're going to get. And God, it was astonishing how rough of a time it was. I mean, the fan gatherings, because of all the lineups happening in the usual cosplay spots, would be moved around 2 or 3 times, and you could lose half your gathering and people either just deciding it's not worth it, or just being lost in the crowd. I saw the Naruto gathering disintegrate before my very eyes. I saw the Kill la Kill gathering suddenly be told by security, you're a fire hazard, you can't stay here. And they moved him up underneath an awning that has, like, no easy place to tier. There must have been, like, 100 people in costume. And then they finally resolved to go out to one of the sun decks, which caused several people to just say, I'm not melting, I'll see you later. You know, Kill la Kill, some of their costumes don't involve a whole lot of coverage. You know, I nearly fried my scalp just getting the few pictures I got during that group. So, and the sad part is, every year I keep talking about how negative I am on the Anime Expo. It's not like I want to have a bad time. I want to see things improve. I want to see things go better. And unfortunately, they got what they wanted, more people. They didn't plan for more people. They didn't plan like there was any possibility of expansion. They just kept doing what they do. And I think that's one of the major problems every year, is they keep planning as if last year is going to be very similar to the next year. If you're planning for growth, plan for growth, for fuck's sake. God. The other thing was kind of astonishing was there were very few DVD sellers at the Anime Expo.
Really?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's anime. You know, it's videos is primarily your product. There were just very few independent booths actually selling DVDs or Blu-rays.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, there's been a big move for digital lately.
To a degree, yeah. It's disappointing, and for somebody like me, when you can only buy your Blu-rays generally at the larger booths by the actual production companies, because they get to name the price.
You're not going to get a deal there.
Yeah. So what I did was there was $100 I thought I was going to spend there that I didn't. So as soon as I got home, I went on Amazon and got half the things I was looking at for about half price.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, how are you going to compete with the likes of Amazon and sell everything for super cheap?
Well, actually, this segues into a fun fucking story. I got a ticket to a Kill la Kill signing event with the production staff. And there was a guy who started a conversation next to me. He looked at me about 23. And I swear to God, I was surrounded by, like, the Japanese and Canadian, or not the Japanese, the American and Canadian versions of Hikimori, you know, a whole bunch of shut-ins. Mostly nice enough guys and everything, but the guy behind me, he asked me how much I paid for the Kill la Kill special edition Blu-ray set, the collector's edition. It's $60. Now, for that $60, you get the DVD and Blu-ray version of the first 6 episodes of the series and a soundtrack CD. Okay? And I was arguing that that's really expensive. I bought it just for the signature event. You know, it was one of the things I figured I'd do as part of my reporting. But to me, 6 episodes on Blu-ray is really expensive. I'm used to getting, like, what, 13 episodes, if not an entire series, for like $30 to $40. I mean, Steve, Jesse, would you say that's about the average?
Yeah.
That sounds about right to me, except for, of course, things that are imported from Britain.
Okay. Well, I was arguing that Aniplex is really doing wrong by their fans because they're selling, you know, these Kill la Kill Blu-rays. You can get 6 episodes for $40. 6 episodes. In the case of Sword Art Online, they've released 4 box sets of the original 26 episodes Blu-ray box sets are $90 a piece. You need to pay $360 to get the entire first season of the series.
That's ridiculous.
I told him I think that's too expensive when the average is much lower, and he said, "Well, you're paying for the series." It's like, so? And he says, "Well, I sat on the Aniplex panel, and they said production costs are why they charge that much." I said, "Well, that's bullshit. There's other series out there that have production costs of their own. They're charging much cheaper." He said, "Well, it's a popular series,
so I'm paying for popularity."
Yeah, that makes it even less expensive or less likely to be that expensive because they're more likely to sell more copies, and it only takes $3 to press a Blu-ray. The profit margin on Blu-rays are rather high after a series come out. And he started arguing back and forth with me about it, and he finally said, "Well, look, Sentai is in there, and they're selling much cheaper shit. You should go shop there." And I looked him right in the face, and he's like half a head taller than me, and I pointed, and I said, "Don't condescend to me." He says, "I'm not condescending." "Yes, you are. You're condescending. You're talking down to me because I don't want to pay these prices. For all you know, I've already bought a shit ton of other stuff, and I have bought a shit ton of other stuff in my lifetime. I refuse to pay that price point, and I think it's highway robbery. You can disagree all you like. Do not condescend to me." And like the entirety of the 5 people in this conversation, 3 of them took a step back, and there was this heavy-set Canadian guy who just started nodding. So the guy didn't talk to me very much directly after that, as you can imagine. Yeah. But I think the point still stands is that Aniplex has some very popular series in Sword Art Online and Kill la Kill right now. I still don't think that justifies the price points.
No, they're absolutely capitalizing upon its popularity. People are desperate to watch it because it is that popular. They want to own the physical copy, and people are willing to pay it. Other people aren't because we know fucking better, and we just don't have the damn money. But it's like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, if they come out with a single box at about $60, that I would buy.
Yeah, I could even see a single box set at $90 for the entire season. It's not uncommon.
If you throw in the soundtrack with that, that's absolutely worth the money. I don't appreciate what I consider to be highway robbery. It's like right now to buy the entirety of Kill la Kill, if I go the special edition route, I need to be prepared to pay $240. If I go just a Blu-ray route, that's still $160, which is just way above market average right now. So, it started a little bit of a fight I wasn't looking for, but I thought I had a solid point, and unfortunately for this guy, the other 4 guys agreed with me. Actually, the heavy-set Canadian guy took one of my cards, and he listened to me talk, and he just said, "You do a podcast?" It's like, "Yeah, here's my card. I've been looking for a good podcast, and you are a smart guy." It's like, okay.
Awesome.
So he's probably going to listen to this in a week and just go, I remember that fight. The entertainment hall was actually interesting. They had more video games and everything. They had many more setups, more interesting setups, more cosplay backdrops, but unfortunately because of the heat, the sun decks, and the groups breaking down like they did, there was actually lines for some of these photo backdrops.
Yeah, I heard about that one too.
Yeah, so it was kind of rough getting in and out of there. Some of the lesser used ones, like the ball pit, you could walk right into, but why would you take a picture in a ball pit?
There's a ball pit?
Yeah, there was a small ball pit you could actually take photos in for some odd reason. I don't know how to expand on it beyond that. Some of the photo backdrops actually had floors, which was my complaint from last year. You break the image pretty easy when you're in a forest and there's a concrete floor and tree stands. But several of them still did not have floors in them, unfortunately. The kids' bedroom still did not have a floor in it. And a bed sitting in the middle of concrete. They had some 360 photos they were taking there. It turns out that their version of 360 photos is not a round harness with a bunch of cameras. It is literally the cosplayer standing still on a rotating platform and somebody's taking pictures like every second.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not quite the way it's not quite the clean way to do it. Yeah, I mean, as much as I missed you guys there, you would have had a pretty miserable time trying to deal with the crowds.
That's what it sounded to me.
Well, some people said, well, Comic-Con's bigger than this. Must be worse than there. I watched Comic-Con last year and Anime Expo this year. Comic-Con last year was easier for me to get around than this. The dealer's hall was so densely packed, I honestly I resisted buying things for 2 days just because I needed to come up with a plan of how to protect my shit before I leave the room. That's how extreme it was in there. I actually had to figure out how I was going to carry these things because, I mean, if DVDs are not the thing to buy there, then obviously figurines are for me.
Yeah.
I needed to come up with how I was going to carry stuff and what route I was going to take to get out of this place to make sure nobody bumped into my shit. That is not the way you should. That's not a way to induce people to buy. Let alone Artist Alley, once again, was at the back of the dealer's hall.
Yeah, I'm sure they weren't happy.
Some of them made some pretty good money. Others were pretty miserable back there. So it's arguable. But I don't like the layout of these things. We went through the Comic-Con map and you saw it. You know, there's sections where you can buy comics. There's sections where you can check out video games. All the big stuff is generally in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So you're very likely to walk through big stuff. The case of Anime Expo, at the front of the hall, in front of the entrances, are all the big booths. All the industry booths, all the major sellers are at the front. The average seller is in the middle. Right. The average sellers are in the middle, the entire middle strip of the hall, and the back strip of the hall is Artist Alley. So you're literally going from most expensive to least expensive at the back when it should be opposite. It's like supermarkets. They give you a bunch of small impulse buys that are pretty cheap when you're getting ready to leave, when you're coming towards the front of the place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Besides which, if the artists are generally selling stuff for $20 a print, that means you get to walk through all these booths that may have the figurines you're looking for, small likelihood of having the DVDs you're looking for, or other specialty items that could cost upwards of $300 before you get to these people in the back who are trying to sell a $20 print. So there's a balance problem there. So many things that need fixing here. And unfortunately, somebody already promised me to go next year.
Promised you to go for you?
No, they promised me to go to Anime Expo because I generally get a small block of rooms and I invite friends and stuff. And I schedule group dinner so everyone has a chance to sit down, eat something real besides like cup noodles, and actually meet the other people staying there. You know, it's kind of a mixed bag. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But this particular lady is coming from Montreal, I believe. So she relies on me to help make plans.
Gotcha.
And I've already got people from this year who are saying, well, if you're going next year, I'm going with you. Fuck.
You're a glutton for punishment.
Because everybody knows, it's not a glutton for punishment. You guys know me. If I have a chance to help somebody, I'm not very likely to turn it down. You know, I'd almost say it's a character flaw, but it's something that more people need to do, I would think.
Agreed.
So that was my time mostly in Anime Expo. I took place in the Cosplay Wrestling Federation. I played 4 out of 5. I would tell you what exactly I said, although I honestly do not remember. I'm having memory issues regarding my time on stage in the event simply because I have a general fear of public speaking. It's a moderate fear, and it seems like I managed to overcome that by just submerging myself in the freaking character.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it didn't go over too well because people, I remember, started to make fun of the Luke Cage character simply because he's not extremely well known in comics. I had a rebuttal ready for that if I made it to the next round, but I didn't get that far. Yeah, what can you say? It's the anime crowd. You know, if you're comic book fans, it's a pretty obvious character. Let's see, I think that's the long and short of it. I did see the premiere of the Sword Art Online episode about 12 hours before other people did. Whoopee. You know, the Sword Art Online panel was surprising. For a 2-hour panel, wasn't much to do with people. The Aoi, the lady who sings the theme, and some of the production staff were out for about 5 minutes before they suddenly went back and they decided to play 3 episodes that won the top 3 honors at the Sword Art Online Awards, which I did not know was a thing. It was kind of entertaining, though, watching people watch these episodes because, well, 1, they were in English, so it was easy for everyone to understand. But 2, everyone treated it like a scene out of Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. It was a bunch of people like yelling at the screen. You know, when something sad happens, there was this collective moan. When something joyous happened, there was clapping and cheering. You know, when somebody was about to die, you heard people yelling, "Don't do it! Don't do it!" It was one of those. But the only thing I got from the SAO Awards, whoever voted for these things, was mostly a bunch of morbid mothers. The top episode was not really a surprise when it was the Gleam Eyes episode, the one where he actually used the dual wielding technique for the first time. The other 2, in order, were Yui's Heart, the one where they lost their virtual daughter, and the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the one where he died.
Yeah.
Bunch of morbid mothers voting in this thing, man.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with Yui because I know what happens afterwards.
Yeah, So do I, but it was still, they chose two of the saddest episodes in the whole series, and when they were coming down to number one, I told the people next to me, okay, this is either going to be the Gleam Eyes or the one where they both die. And the people just smiled and just said, yeah, that's probably right. But it was disappointing to label this as a panel with a special screening of the first episode, and 80% of the panel was screening of prior episodes. I mean, shoot, I could have spent the time doing my own stuff and just watched Crunchyroll the next day. You know what I mean? Or, in my case, Hulu Plus.
Yeah.
You know, man, it was just rough. There were people who were really upset at the Japanese voice actresses behind Kill la Kill, though. They were supposed to have an hour signing. They started about 20 minutes late. They apparently signed about 50 autographs apiece out of a crowd of about 200 people waiting, and then left. Depending on who you ask, the fault is different, because some people say it's Anime Expo's fault for leaving them outside so long and not demanding the thing start. The people running Anime Expo say it's the fault of the voice actresses for being too friendly and too willing to chat up people as they were signing stuff.
Yeah.
Assuming what Anime Expo says is true, that still doesn't absolve Anime Expo from allowing that thing to run that late and then cutting it off so early. They should have worked a little harder with fans to at least get them what they were waiting for. At least half of them.
I have no problem with the voice actors being overtly friendly and talkative.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. During the signature event I went through with the production cast for the series, I had a moment. The lead character and art person is this guy who goes by the name Sushio. Okay? Sushio. During the Kill la Kill event, he actually got people to chant his name like Rubio from Hook. Okay. That was one thing. When I was at the signature event, I am used to Japanese people treating me a little differently because I am not only a different age group, but I'm kind of a different type of fan from most of these 20-year-olds. When I got to Sushio, he was in the middle of the group, and I put the DVD insert of the Blu-ray I bought in front of him, and he starts writing on it. I just said konnichiwa, and he said konnichiwa while he was writing. He didn't look up. As soon as he was done writing the fat kanji on the inside that says something I can't read, he looks up, and the first thing I hear is, whoa! And then I just wave a little bit, and he looks at me, and he actually says in broken English, I like your haircut. I am shaved bald, okay? And all I can say is, you know, I just kind of rubbed the top of my head, and I don't know the Japanese word, so I just said, yeah, it's missing. And he looked at me and said, it's cute.
It's cute.
I do not. I have no idea I don't know how to respond to that, and the people are just kind of waving me along, so it's just kind of, bye.
I would have loved to have seen your face when that happened.
Oh, dude, I can only imagine the blush that's on my face, because I was embarrassed and confused. So that happened to me. Why is it always every year I have some kind of weird story regarding a guest or some kind of weird personal happening with me? You know, it's like when Karen nearly ran over a rock band at AM2. You
tend to attract the weirdness.
Yeah, that's me for you. I wanted... yeah, that nearly happened to me too.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I wanted to have a short conversation with all you guys. V, are you okay? Oh my god, she died.
Hello?
Ah, crap, I was muted for the last couple minutes. Sorry.
I was wondering why they were laughing at me. I thought you would have laughed pretty loud at the cute comment.
Giggled.
I wanted to have a conversation with you guys, not because I'm not enjoying the show. This is a lot of fun for me to do every week. I don't know how you guys feel about it personally.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
But there is the sense that perhaps there's a few things in nerddom we could talk about, and we just kind of skip because the concept of the show is commonly about comic books on a website mostly about anime and conventions. Yeah. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing with the idea that maybe once in a month, like 1 week a month, say the first or last week, we start playing around with a few other concepts in nerddom, be it anime, video games, books.
I would get really into probably either science fiction books or fantasy, for that matter, to a degree.
Yeah, books may be a little bit harder of a pull because we can only read a certain section of it before it starts to really take over.
Well, right, but we could start out with things that we've already been familiar with. If there's anything that we have all read, I don't know if that's the case. But.
I mean, I know anime isn't necessarily in V's wheelhouse, but I think there are certain series out there that may be if she was given a chance to try it.
No, that's one of the things I like about anime is you can pretty much find every genre in there.
Yeah, you just have to find something with a few less nipples, I would imagine.
I don't care about the nipples.
More. Oh, well, there we go. We need to find more.
So Ninja Scroll it is.
Make that a list. I wanted to ask you guys because, I mean, the comic book discussions are good. They're varied, but we do burn through a lot of available stuff very quickly.
Well, I mean, a lot of these are kind of monthly releases, so...
Yeah, well, he brought up one idea that we do need to go back and read something like Silver or Golden Age, simply because it could be a good show of how comics have evolved from then to now.
We don't have to do Superman by any means, but...
Well, that was my idea. I think we do need to read a Superman story at some point, simply because we can't keep bitching at it without trying to see if it's improved at all.
I suppose.
We got to keep it neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all ideas for future stories, obviously.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we could go way back and read one of those old Fantastic Fours where, Mr. Fantastic is, a chauvinistic pig and...
Sending to his wife, walking down to his teammates.
Oh, man.
Maybe I should create some kind of fucking robot. No, I wanted to throw that out there because I know not everything is of everyone's interest, but I think we could step outside the box here and really expand on the idea that we're just not comic book readers, but this is what I've been describing to people lately as our virtual coffee table. We stack a whole bunch of nerdy stuff on it, start poking at it, and see what's fun.
Definitely works. Mm-hmm. I'm currently incredibly hooked on a indie game that I got off of Steam, Banished.
Yeah, Banished
is from hell.
Yeah, I like Banished. See, we could totally talk about video games because I would get into it.
I came across a game last night on YouTube called Turbo Dismount. It has no right to be this funny.
Well, that's actually funny you mentioned that because I got into a flash sale on the PlayStation Network after 99 cents. I now own a copy of Double Dragon Neon.
Oh God, I've seen a playthrough of that.
So far it's funny, but the controls are a little twitchy.
Yeah.
Between that and the fact that I'm going to see Steve, Jesse, and Brandon in a week and a half, and I'm trying to get my hands on a couple more PS3 controllers. You guys know a couple you could borrow for a weekend?
I think I still have my PS2 controllers, but I don't...
Wait, why are we getting PS...
I wanted to ask because I'm going to see him at GamersCon in San Diego, and I have a copy of the PS3 version of Dragon's Crown.
Oh, okay.
And I'd like to try that. I've tried it singly, and I'm enjoying it, but I'd like to try the multiplayer version, too, if we're going to talk about it.
I think Dustin has a PS3.
Would you mind checking on that today? Because if not, I got to go out and see if I can find some relatively inexpensive ones to purchase. As much as I like my PS3, $60 for controllers is a bit much for me.
Especially if you're not going to use them all that often.
They're retailing like $55 a piece. If I could get that price point down to $30, that'd be a strong consideration for me. But it's hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll see if I have his number.
Okay, so it sounds like we do have a plan. We're going to take which week out of the month should we take for this? First, last, or in the middle?
I don't know. My schedule's so weird right now. I can't even guarantee I'll be there for it.
What are you going to say,
go for the first of the month.
Okay, that works for me in general. It doesn't matter when because we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we just have to set a definitive time, so...
Yeah. So we know what's coming and have a little extra time to either watch TV or read something,
As it is right now, for my extra days, August will be a possible extra day. September, we should be good. October, we should be good. November, we're still good. December is another extra day. So.
Okay, and when do you change schedules again? Isn't that like in October?
Well, no, I'm always going to have these extra days. I'm in a particular group and it just rotates through Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday. It just depends on whether or not I'm on days or nights. That's the only real difference.
Yeah, I need to get a down payment for a house together. Maybe I should kickstart Potato Salad.
You can just buy a damn house.
Yeah, really. Okay, so it sounds like we got more or less a plan. We will do it. Next week, though, is the last week that we're getting together before Comic-Con. Why don't we just make that a Comic-Con discussion in general? That means there's a lack of reading, and then we'll just have to figure out what's interesting to see or what V would want us to do for her while she's in Texas still.
If I ever go to a Comic-Con or some sort of con in which there is cosplay, I'd totally want to do cosplay, but I would never be able to make up my mind for it. So I'd have to make other people make up my mind for what to do.
Well, that's probably another reason to discuss Comic-Con next week is not just our plans for this year, but to start building plans for next year. Because I would like all four of us to actually be able to party together.
It'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already setting aside a budget. I'm setting aside like $50 a paycheck just in a savings account just for next year. You know, that would put together like $1,200 by next year. That's usually more than enough to get by on.
Yeah, but I need a car. No. I mean, I need a car, like in life.
Okay. There is that. All right, so next week is going to be our discussion and primer for San Diego Comic-Con 2014 and 2015. Doesn't that sound like fun?
Hey.
All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. I invite you to roll with us again next week when we have more fun and we just be nerdy again. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. I am Jeremy.
Jesse.
And V.
Have a great one, everybody. So now we got to fill up this virtual coffee table with anime and video games and maybe some porn just for the sake of
Pirates.
So random various shit that's popular. I don't know.
Pirates.
Live action tentacle porn.
Pirates.
I'm kind of down with that.
Pirates. You're down with pirates and live action tentacle porn? You've watched the weirdest videos. I
don't really watch porn. I find it funny more than arousing. So.
Sitting there going, I could do that.
I'm just looking like, that looks uncomfortable.
Well, a cucumber in the wrong place usually does.
Yeah.